Yep, here I go. It's a windy Wednesday afternoon here in Worcester. Polar Park is the site and the alternate site for the Boston Red Sox. Back in action, a sim game coming your way, and it's a long one here this afternoon. There is Steven Gonsalves, one of the two left-handed pitchers getting ready to start today's game. He'll be opposed by Kyle Hart. Welcome into our broadcast coverage of Red Sox alternate training site baseball. I'm Josh Maurer. My broadcast partner, as always, here is Jim Kane. We are happy to be back with you for the first time in a few days. It's going to be a long one. Jim, we were told potentially 10 innings of sim game baseball here today, so buckle in.
It's going to be a long day. Good to see you again, Josh. Hope you get a chance to recharge over these last couple of days. Had some weather come through. Had a scheduled off day on Tuesday. And now back to work on a blustery Thursday afternoon. Really putting the polar in Polar Park today.
How long did it take you to come up with that one?
I thought of it as soon as I woke up this morning. I was ready to use that as soon as I could. There is Gonsalves, Steven the left-hander, who came into the organization last season, longtime farmhand for the Minnesota Twins. He has got enticing stuff. However, the problem at times has been controlling it. We'll see Gonsalves here against Jarren Duran. This will be a fun matchup to begin today's sim game. Well, cold and blustery does not quite even do it full justice. We got winds gusting upwards of 30 to 40 miles an hour. And at the moment, it is blowing straight out. Jim, if Jarren Duran gets one airborne, it could go a long way in the jet stream.
No question about it. He hit a pair of home runs the last time we saw him on Patriots Day in the morning. Pulled one to right, went to center with his second one that the wind possibly could have helped. But if he gets one up in the jet stream, as they say, who knows how far it'll go.
Jet Bandy is the catcher for Gonsalves. We do have an umpire back there today, and at the moment, got every defensive position manned except for left field. Not sure if that's still Cody Clark. Jim, he's been the umpire of late, calling the balls and strikes for the games. He had the whole series against the Mets. Duran just gets a piece. 91 on the gun there from Gonsalves. Big guy, 6'5", 220-pounder. Made his major league debut with the Minnesota Twins back a couple of years ago. And then picked up by the Red Sox last summer during the pandemic. In fact, he was a mainstay at the end of the alternate site in Pawtucket. That'll get out of play. We are working on getting you the feed from center field. So I'll tell you as we come on the air, that's not quite available to us as we work through some of the production setup steps that we need. Every day there's more and more getting completed here at Polar Park. And when I talk about setup, Jim, it's not just the construction being done to the seating areas. Duran takes it high. That's ball 3. 3-2 is the count. So you should see, folks, the amount of work that's having to be done in the production room, in our broadcast booths, and around the camera locations, just to be able to provide you the pictures and the sounds from these games, and then once the minor league season starts in a couple of weeks. 3-2. Checked up on a high fastball. So ball 4. That's how it begins here today in our sim game. Jarren Duran takes ball 4 from Gonsalves. And as I said, Jim, that's unfortunately been part of the bugaboo for Steven. He does have the good stuff. He's got to keep it in the strike zone, though, more consistently, you figure, for him to have a chance to be a big major league contributor.
Well, the last time we saw him was a little over a week ago here in Sim City, and he got a lot of strikeouts. You know, we've talked about the increase in velocity on the fastball. This is a guy who punched out 7 guys, but he also walked 6 in 5+ innings last week. So that has been the bugaboo for Gonsalves.
As I mentioned, he'll be opposed by Kyle Hart here at the outset. Good pitching matchup. So that one fouled out of play. Marcus Wilson is the second hitter in this batting group. It's in a sim game. You have not teams, you have batting groups. Jarren Duran, Marcus Wilson, then Michael Chavis, the top 3 in the top half of the innings group. Then Chris Herman, Chad De La Guerra, Jack Lopez, and Austin Rye. We got 7 hitters in this group. There'll be 6 in the bottom half. Good fastball right at the kneecaps there to Wilson, 0-2. Unlike the exhibition games that we saw in that 3-game series with the Mets alternate site in town,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we had the full production operational. The scoreboard was being kept. The video board was on. We're not doing that here again today. There's just too much other stuff going on. Duran is taking a healthy lead off of first, as you can see. Gonzalez was certainly aware of that, and as he waited, Wilson maybe had some of the dirt blow up into his eyes from the big wind gusts that we're going to have throughout the day.
Saw some pieces of cardboard boxes that were up on the Hanover deck and in the bullpen terrace down the left field line blowing onto the field earlier. That's another sign of how windy it is here today.
2 strikes on Wilson. Hard hit towards center field. Backing up with a play, that is Michael Geddes. Normally we've seen him in right. Boy, thank goodness for our man Pete Amalbert, who has given us the lineup card today. I wouldn't have known that was Michael Geddes otherwise, because he's wearing the jacket over his uniform. And he's celebrating that catch with a nice little jig.
I was thinking the same thing. He's pointing over to Cesar Puello, who's in right field. Puello, we talked about his dance moves on Monday. Geddes trying to show off his zone skills.
Chad De La Guerra. So they've already switched up what we were told this batting group would be. It's not Michael Chavis. De La Guerra hits third. And look, we got a center field camera for you folks. I told you, it's not only changing day by day, it's changing minute by minute. Thanks to Woo Sox Productions. And you can see the effect that the wind is even having on our camera. It tries to stay stabilized out there. Just to the left of the batter's eye as we look at it from behind home plate. 1 out, 1 on. And strike 1 to De La Guerra. So glad you could be with us. We'll be with you throughout this game and throughout the remaining week and a half of this alternate site whenever the sim games are happening. We've got you thanks to the Woo Sox social media accounts. On Periscope, thanks to Twitter, and of course Facebook Live. You can watch these games live or on archive anytime. I think Duran might try to steal a base here. Certainly Gonzalez is thinking along those lines. By the way, the temperature is right around 40, if you were curious. About 40 degrees in that blustery wind that's howling straight out. Oh, and 1. And now 0-2. And after the walk to Duran, everything's been in the strike zone from Gonzalez.
Seems to be a lot quicker to the plate with guys on base from what I can remember from last week. Paying attention, obviously, to Duran, and rightfully so with his speed at first, but just picking that leg right up and right back down, and he's much quicker to the plate.
Big tall left-hander with an 0-2 pitch coming up here to De La Guerra. Out of play. Gonzalez's fastball will touch 93-94 at its apex, although he's been sitting around 91 here in the first inning. He's also got a slider, a changeup, and a curve. 4-pitch mix. Profiles as a starting pitcher. Told you he made his big league debut several years ago. It was 2018 with the Twins. He got called up for 7 games. None since. Nice pitch over the outside corner to strike out De La Guerra looking. A backwards K. In fact, all strikes continue since the leadoff walk from Gonzalez. Now 2 outs. Then Jack Lopez coming to the plate. Jim, I'm going to tear up what we were told was going to be the lineup for the top of the order. They've only stuck to it for 2 batters.
Oh, of course, expect the unexpected here at Sim City. That was a pretty good pitch from Gonzalez. We showed you the high home shot. Unfortunately, working through some technical difficulties down in center, but from our vantage point up here, that had some nice late movement on it, and it clipped that outside corner.
So here comes Jack Lopez, first year in the Red Sox organization. That's finally a ball from Gonzalez. Let me get you the full defense and the fielders behind Gonzalez. Told you Geddes playing center, and Jim mentioned Cesar Puello is in right. Those are the 2 outfielders that Gonzalez has to work with behind him. Jeter Downs is playing shortstop. Always fun to watch Jeter, whether he's playing shortstop or second base. Arauz is over at third. Josh Akemi playing first base. There's a second baseman out there. Jairo Munoz. All right, it's our first time seeing Jairo here at the alternate site since we've started our broadcast just over a week ago. Nice to have him back out there. Jim knows he's a favorite of mine.
I was about to say, I'm sure you're happy to see Jairo back out there, sporting that bright orange winter hat.
Yeah, he's got the orange one. Jeter Downs has a darker colored one. Jet Bandy is the battery mate for Gonzalez, who's working on Jack Lopez here with 2 out in the first. Again, 91 says our TrackMan radar gun, and it's ball 4. So Lopez gets the second walk of the inning. I think everybody just kind of lost track of the count there, but Jack Lopez does take his base. So 2 walks. Austin Rye coming to the plate.
Unfortunately, you're seeing these same issues manifesting themselves here in the very first inning for Gonzalez. A couple of walks and a strikeout.
He is scheduled, by the way, Jim, we're told to go 6 innings today. The starting pitchers at the alternate site are really getting stretched out. We saw the same thing with Connor Siebold here in one of the Mets games. During that 3-game series, Siebold went 6. I think we could probably count on one hand the amount of times in 3 months last summer at the alternate site in Pawtucket that a pitcher went more than 5 innings. Pickoff play. Wow, that was close there. Duran goes in standing as Jairo Munoz has a laugh with him. And now a pat on the leg. I like that everybody seems to be in a good mood here this afternoon thus far, even though it's cold. I've seen a lot of smiles on the diamond here at Polar Park as the sun tries to peek through the cloud cover. In at the knees, good fastball there to Austin Rye, one of the catchers here at the alternate site. Jeter Downs is currently doing jumping jacks, trying to stay warm as they're swinging strike 2. See if he does it again. You take a look from behind home plate there. Jeter was literally doing, so now he's dancing.
Everybody on the left side of the infield is hopping at the exact same time, just trying to keep the blood moving, trying to stay warm. It is a cold day out there for these guys.
From a broadcaster perspective, I would label this a windows closed.
I was about to say, and it was a pretty easy decision when we walked in today. Windows closed.
2-strike pitch. There's the ball, a fastball upstairs there from Gonzalez. Unofficially, because it's always subject to change. Here are the pitchers that will be pitching in this sim game. You got Gonzalez against Kyle Hart. Hart 4 innings, Gonzalez 6. Big curveball from Gonzalez. Able to strike out Austin Rye to end the inning. A little bit of the good, a little bit of the command issues. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a flyout for Gonzalez to finish the pitching lineup for today. Mike Shawarren and then Bobby Pointer 2 innings each. And then you're going to see a plethora of 1-inning relievers. Seth Blair, Matt Hall, John Schreiber, Marcus Walden, and Kevin McCarthy, all on the slate. And again, Jim, a lot of that due to the fact that we haven't had any games played here since Monday. Now on a Thursday. A while since we've been able to get these pitchers some work on a game mound. Here comes Kyle Hart. Hart brilliant in that first ever exhibition game here at Polar Park. It was Saturday against the Mets alternate site. 4 innings and 10 strikeouts. Gave up 1 hit. It was a home run to the Mets' David Thompson in that game. Otherwise, he was brilliant. I have not seen his strikeout game working that way ever, and I've watched Kyle Hart pitch for a long time. In fact, he struck out the first 6 Mets batters of the game that came up against him.
He's a guy who does not have overpowering stuff, as you and I have both seen over the years, Josh, but he knows how to locate in. Obviously had a tough go of it in a brief sample size at the big league level last year, but we've seen he's capable of getting hitters out at a high rate. I remember his first start at Sim City last year. I believe he retired everybody he faced in about 5 innings or so. And to your point from last half inning, he was one of the very few guys that was in fact stretched out to go multiple innings as a starter. We saw him do that with the Red Sox. But I think we talked about this on Monday, Josh. Between Kyle Hart, Connor Siebold, who we saw Monday, and perhaps even Tanner Houck, when this Worcester Red Sox team breaks for the regular season in a couple of weeks, that top end of the rotation is going to be awfully good.
Yep. That's a heck of a AAA top of our pitching staff, no doubt about it. Got a look at that site from behind home plate. Beautiful Polar Park, still a work in progress, but it's getting closer every day. By the way, we were on Tuesday celebrating the 3-week mark out from the first ever game that's going to be played at this yard. How about that? May 11th is coming soon. Michael Geddes, first man up at the bottom of the first inning in this batting group. So I'm not going to give you even an order because I don't know how much they're adhering to it, but the players that are supposed to be in this batting group: Geddes, Jonathan Arauz, then Jeter Downs, Cesar Puello, Josh Akemi, and Jet Bandy. 6 in this group. We're not keeping score. A lot of the times you won't end up having 3 outs even in an inning, but we're having fun nonetheless. Geddes, big power bat. That foul. Kyle Hart talked to the media via Zoom after his start on Saturday, and one of the things he said was, it was great to get all the strikeouts, but I wasn't really concerned about getting strikeouts. It was more just working on my pitches that I needed to work on. But sometimes the results speak for themselves. Here's our center field camera coming back at you to see the pitch. In the air, and that one for Jarren Duran, who won't get there. It just blooped in. I thought the wind might help him get it. But Geddes hit it so softly it falls, and it's a leadoff hit. Jarren is the only man in that part of the outfield, either in center or right. Well over in left is Marcus Wilson, is the other man out there.
And not to sound like a broken record up here, but when you factor in the wind on a play like that, because Geddes took pretty much a full swing. It wasn't a half-hearted hack or anything like that. And balls like that are always the toughest for outfielders. When you see a guy with power like Geddes does at the plate take a full swing, and when it drops in front of you, it comes as a bit of a surprise. Those are tough to read.
Arauz batting. Fastball up and away. Kyle's not a huge fan of pitching in cold conditions. I know, I've talked to him about it, but whatever you can do to get an advantage, sometimes even if the pitcher's uncomfortable, he knows the hitters are even more so. One thing I asked him, I said, how's Polar Park playing? Is it advantage hitters or is it advantage pitchers? And he said at this point, with the conditions still on the chilly side, he said it's definitely playing as a pitcher's park. Big wind gust there forced him to step off the mound. I guess you'd say the wind is swirling. I think if you were trying to say an overall direction that it's blowing out to right, would that be correct, Jim?
That would be my guess, taking a look at that flagpole just beyond the Worcester wall seats. It appears to be the direction it's blowing in.
Took something off that one. Kyle Hart will feature the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer, which is what that pitch was. Curveball, a slider, and a changeup. Five-pitch mix. Man who made his major league debut last summer, Kyle Hart did, as he battled Lyme disease. Arauz just barely got a piece. It was another big topic in his post-game media press conference on Saturday, was what he went through last summer with his health. He admitted, actually, that he was sick and battling some of the symptoms that come with Lyme disease as he was making his major league debut, which made it so tough for him. Just felt drained all the time. Can you imagine, Jim, trying to go up there and realize your life's dream, but you're not anywhere near 100% health?
That's not the way that anyone pictures it, so that just makes it awfully difficult, and you gotta feel bad for the guy too. And he was just pitching at such a high level too at the alternate site, then the bout with Lyme disease, and really threw a wrench in things.
Took a while for the doctors to figure out what it was, which is understandable under any circumstance, but especially as the COVID pandemic was really starting to rage. You get those symptoms, some of which, the Lyme disease, could have been mistaken for COVID-19. They were careful with him. Finally got the correct diagnosis so it could be treated. Says he feels good now. Arauz fights it off to stay alive. One of the things that's always impressed me about Kyle Hart is he thinks the game so well. He not only thinks pitching, pitch selection, pitch location, he also tries to put himself in the mind of the hitters. He tries to put himself in the mind of the defense behind him. He is really a cerebral baseball player. Still 2 strikes on Arauz. And a good block by Herman, who's the catcher. But it was ball 4. Bloop single and a walk to start the bottom of the first inning against Kyle Hart. Not quite the way things began for him on Saturday.
It's that old Yogi Berra saying, half of baseball is 90% mental.
You could probably find a yogiism that would apply to just about any topic that we bring up.
Just about anything.
Jeter Downs coming up. Two on and nobody out. And the big prospect infielder lifts one into the air into left. Wilson on the retreat. Back to the fence. Marcus Wilson. He won't get it. Jaron Duran is being waved home and over to third base. Or that's Geddes being waved home. Arauz stops at third on an RBI double. May have been wind aided there for Marcus Wilson. Over his head. And it's a run with still nobody out against Kyle Hart. Jeter Downs got that one airborne.
Boy, that was a weird play all the way around, wasn't it, Josh? We had talked about the wind a few moments ago blowing out to right. I think it took it more towards right field. I thought that ball was headed for straightaway left, took it more towards the left center gap. That certainly confused Marcus Wilson. And then even coming around the bases, Michael Geddes was almost out at the plate on the relay throw. Sort of strange all the way around.
So now second and third, there are still no outs, and Cesar Puello looks at a strike. RBI double in the end for Jeter Downs. Bruce Crabb right now is the third base coach. I saw him pointing Geddes home immediately. And Geddes, I think, thought, as you said, Jim, that he was just going to trot in. They made a throw to the plate, and they made it a little closer for his comfort. Maybe too close for his comfort. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Puello.
There's also nobody out in the inning, too, so you got to think possibly Geddes and Arauz were waiting to see if the ball was going to either be caught or land. So that held some things up, too.
Infield stays back. I'll tell you who they are in a moment. There's strike 3 to Puello. Oh, strike 2, beg your pardon. Gave him 1 too many. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Cesar. Jairo Munoz has stayed out to play second base. Although in an overshift right now, Jairo is on the third base side of that bag. Still wearing the orange cap. 2-2. Good take theatrically holding the pose is Puello, as he is wont to do. Jack Lopez is playing shortstop. Chad De La Guerra, I believe, is the third baseman, but he's got such a full mask to keep warm over his face that you can hardly tell. And ball 4 to Puello. First 4 batters to come up against Kyle Hart have reached, including a couple of 3-2 pitches that went for ball 4.
Well, Josh, you talked earlier about the conditions, especially at this time of year playing baseball in New England. It certainly does not favor the hitters, because when you make contact, it can sting those hands for quite a while, but also for the pitchers too. And in particular, a guy like Kyle Hart, who relies on feel and relies on movement.
Josh Ackerman, it's bases loaded, nobody out, a run is in.
It also makes things difficult because you're trying to stay warm, but you're also relying on placement of your fingers on the seams and on the ball. It's not an easy thing for a guy like Kyle Hart to manage either.
Ackerman had a rough series with the bat against the Mets over the weekend 3 games. This is a tough matchup for him against a guy he knows very well, if nothing else, but lefty versus lefty. He and Kyle Hart have been teammates in the Red Sox organization for several years. Coming up the ranks. Called inside. Austin Rye's playing first, with Herman working as the battery mate for Hart, and we told you in the outfield. Jaron Duran, there you see him in center, and Marcus Wilson, who had the adventure and left. On the wind-aided RBI double hit by Downs. 2-2. Good pitch. One thing we know about Acme, he's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. It's kind of a rare time that Acme is not facing a dramatic overshift. 3-2. Almost every team that he's faced in the minor leagues over the last few years has brought 3 defenders totally onto the right side of the diamond.
And regardless of the situation, too, whether there is 1 out, 2 outs, runners on base, there usually is some sort of a shift on Acme.
Ball 4, and that'll force in a run. And I wonder if that'll roll over the inning. It will. Tough start for Hart. Doesn't get any of the 5 batters he faces out. 3 of them walked. And all of the walks, by the way, Jim, were on a 3-2 pitch.
A lot of pitches that inning for Kyle Hart. Not the way that he wanted it to go. Downs, you got to figure he definitely got a good piece of that baseball, but the wind possibly aiding it to carry as far as it did. But other than that, he had the bloop single for Geddes, and it was just command for Kyle Hart. And again, I'll go back to what I said about pitching in cold conditions, as you can see just how windy it is with those flags atop the spires over at Union Station. It does not make it easy, especially when you're a finesse guy and a guy that relies on movement like Kyle Hart is.
And you know what, Jim? We saw between Gonzalez and Hart 5 walks in that first inning combined. I would seriously like to attribute that to the conditions of today. Glad you could be with us. Thanks to Blue Sox Productions, we bring you live and exclusive coverage of the Boston Red Sox alternate training site. For only about a week and a couple of days worth of games, sim games left from the alternate site. Be with you, scheduled to be anyway, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Team is scheduled to be off Monday, and then it's the final week after that. What we're told is probably around the same time, by the way, for the starts over this coming end of the week and weekend, 3 o'clock-ish. It's set every day, though, so it could be subject to change. Billy McMillan, the manager of the alternate site, is in coordination with the rest of the staff, figures out the day's schedule. We're along for the ride. It's Gonzalez. He had a couple of strikeouts and a scoreless top half of his first inning. Good timing today to match up these maybe 10 sim innings that we're going to play, give or take, because when we're done, and then it'll just be only an hour or so, probably away from the start of the game at Fenway tonight. So these guys will be able to get something to eat, head home, and watch the Red Sox and the Mariners. 7:10 start at the Fens, and be a local product. On the mound for Seattle, Boston College graduate Justin Dunn will make his first ever start at Fenway. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Sox, game 1 of that series. Chris Herman gets to bat for the first time. Lefty on lefty. Catcher versus the lefty Gonzalez. Takes strike 1. Got 4 natural catchers. Catchers by trade in this game today at the outset, which is going to come in handy, I know, for Billy McMillan. You got 4 of them. You got Jed Bandy, Austin Rye, and then Herman working on the other side. There's the curveball from Gonzalez. You know, that's a good pitch, Jim. It'll play especially well if the velocity stays up in the mid-90s, which we have seen at times since the Red Sox signed him. Big change of speed. Back to the fastball. Herman spoils it.
He has thrown a lot of good ones so far today. He snapped off some really sharp curveballs to Austin Rye. That's what he got Rye to swing and miss on to end the first inning. And then that previous pitch was a very good curve. But you're right, if he can pair that with the fastball at that elevated velocity that he's got, that's a pretty good mix.
And there it is with the fastball. That only 90 miles an hour according to the radar gun we've got access to, but it was effective enough. Herman was off balance with the off-speed stuff, and he swings through strike 3. 3 strikeouts for Gonzalez.
Good sequence there, too. Changing the eye level of the hitter, and especially a lefty, doesn't make it any easy on the batter. Snapping off those curveballs that dip down, and then that fastball up and in. And even if the fastball is sitting at 90 or 91, like you said, Josh, it looks a lot faster, especially after that curveball.
Back to Jaron Duran, who walked to begin things here today. Second trip to the plate. I was talking about the catchers. 3 of them here. Connor Wong is currently the taxi squad catcher at Fenway. Connor has been so impressive. We've seen him hit the ball so well. Looks like he's improved his defensive work behind the plate. So he's the emergency guy up there for the Red Sox. 2 balls and no strikes on Duran. Jim talked about the 2 home run day he had here Monday against Mets pitching. Homered in the middle innings, and it was news that traveled fast. In fact, right after we signed off the air in our broadcast, that was a win that the Red Sox alternate site had. We had the Red Sox Patriots Day game on the big video board here at Polar Park, and the Red Sox had a studio break to show a highlight of the second home run that Jaron Duran had hit. Tom Caron brought the news to everybody in New England. Good fastball. And it tells you the kind of attention that Jaron Duran is starting to muster.
That's the point I was just about to make. You took the words right out of my mouth. Whenever Jaron Duran does something big like that, it gets your attention, and it gets the attention of the media and the folks up in Boston that are covering the Red Sox. So it's just going to be an ongoing conversation as to when Jaron Duran does get that call.
Ball 4, he walks for a second time on a 3-1 pitch. Takes the fastball up and out of the zone, so a 1-out base runner. Top of our second inning, by the way. Kyle Hart gave up 2 runs before the inning rolled over in the bottom of the first. His batting group has not scored yet. Train is rolling by Polar Park. In fact, we have dueling trains. Look at that, they're coming in each direction.
Wow.
It's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I do not think we have seen that yet until now. Wow.
Boy, Jim, you're easily impressed.
That's really cool.
I'm kidding. I never saw Jim get so excited about anything.
Well, we talked last week. We were making fun of the train that's not a real train at Minute Maid Park in Houston. I mean, this is a real train, but now you've got 2 real trains going in opposite directions. What other park has that?
Do we need to give you a minute, buddy? 1 strike to Wilson. 2 strikes. Good fastball. 92 on the gun. 1 on, 1 out. Yeah. 2 sides of the track, each in use at the moment here, just to the left, past the Hanover deck of Polar Park. The signage, just over the last couple of days, appeared for the Hanover deck, which is the second level right out there by the left field video board. Look what that wind is doing to our camera as Wilson stays alive. The Hanover deck is overlooking the visiting team bullpen. The bullpens have drawn rave reviews from the players who have gotten to see Polar Park and use it for the first time during this alternate site. However, I do think that there's the Hanover deck area. I think the visiting bullpen guys might not like it so much when they got fans over there giving them catcalls throughout the games. Maybe enjoying a beverage or 2 as they do. Oh, and it got away from Gonzalez and hits Marcus Wilson. Hope he's all right. That does not feel good when it's 40 degrees.
No, it does not, and it does not look like he's wearing any sort of elbow guard or protection on that left arm. Could have gotten him on the old funny bone, as they say. That is never fun.
That was the slider. It's an 85-mile-an-hour pitch that hit him. So Durand a second. And again, we're seeing command issues. I'm going to update it. We haven't even played 3 half innings yet. We've seen 6 walks and a hit batsman combined between Hart and Gonzalez. De La Guerra up there fouling the first pitch back. You know what I think the Red Sox would say about that, though? This is good. You're going to play in these parts in the month of April and then into May. You're going to have days like this where it's cold and windy, and so we want you to get used to it. Good curveball again, nothing in 2.
Well, that's the one pitch that he has had today, is that curveball. It has been very sharp, but as we have said throughout the course of this entire process, these are essentially spring training games. So these guys are working out kinks, trying new things, focusing on more or certain pitches more than others.
I'm looking back at the double trains on the tracks right now. We've got I think we've got a log jam. There's so many trains coming.
We sure do.
One of them had to stop and wait. Another one ambles by. It's rush hour after all on the train tracks here in Worcester. Approaching Union Station, which is only about a half a mile away from where this ballpark resides. Union Station, right in the heart of the city. See, look, there's the traffic jam I'm talking about.
It appears as though the one that is blocked by the train that's not moving is moving. One heading out.
Fastball got him swinging. De La Guerra frustrated. Second time Gonzalez has struck him out. And that'll roll the inning over. So he gets 2 outs. Gets a hit batter and a walk onto his docket, but still no runs have scored for the top of the inning batting groups. Kyle Hart will go back to work and look to find his stuff today after the suboptimal beginning to the outing. Why don't we take a break? Catch our breath, look at some trains. We'll come back for the bottom of the second right after this. Here we go into the bottom of the second inning here of this sim game. Jed Bandy takes ball 1, and this is an inning that I imagine Kyle Hart has a little bit more effort and intensity behind his pitches, because I know he's not happy with the way that his outing began. 5 guys came up, 3 of them walked, nobody was out. And he's a competitor, Jim, so he's going to want to get that squared away and fixed.
Yeah, no question about it. Hasn't been an impressive start, really, for either pitcher so far. Let's see if Hart can lock in.
1 ball, 1 strike on the catcher, Jet Bandy. Josh Maurer, Jim Kane, broadcasting, part of the Woo Sox radio and television network team. Bringing you the Red Sox alternate training site. There we are. Look, they even found our Twitter handles. Is that 4 balls already? Man, it was. Andy takes the 4th walk of the 6 batters that have come up to face Kyle Hart. Fastball that just missed the outside corner. Second plate appearance coming up for the leadoff man in this batting group, Michael Geddes. We were talking about how the Red Sox are welcoming the Mariners to Fenway Park tonight. Boston at the moment has the 2nd best record, or actually now tied for the best record in the American League. 2nd best in all of Major League Baseball. Tied with the red-hot Oakland Athletics of the Red Sox for the #1 record in the AL. Now, I know we've only played 3 weeks of the season, but it's still impressive. 12-7 overall, and you know, Oakland started 0-6. They've now won 11 games in a row. Isn't it amazing what Oakland does year in and year out? Seemingly always with a different cast of characters there.
It's incredible. It really is. And did you see the way they pulled it out yesterday? In the bottom of the 9th inning, bases loaded, a ground ball to third that went, I have never seen a throw go that awry over to first base that allowed both the tying and game-winning runs to score. Everything is just going right for the A's right now.
Fastball inside there as he's trying to put Geddes away. Kyle Hart misses, brushing him back off the plate. That game against Minnesota yesterday, in which the A's won their 11th consecutive, they were trailing by 2 with 2 outs, and then there were back-to-back errors. There was an error by the second baseman before the throwing error. There you go. Pulled a string there to strike out Geddes, and Hart, on a changeup, records his first out. It comes via a strikeout.
Well, that was impressive. Good downward action on that changeup from Kyle Hart. It's one of his best off-speed pitches. Goes to it when he's ahead in the count. He got the punch out.
The Dodgers have the best record in Major League Baseball. No surprise, they're 14-4 through the first 3 weeks of the season. Los Angeles, the defending champions, and looking like they are the favorite to do it again. No surprise there. But yeah, the Red Sox and Oakland tied for the best mark in the American League. It's very, very premature, I know, to start looking at those things and trying to decipher meaning out of it, but, you know, it's happening, so we might as well point it out. Araúz batting for the 2nd time, takes the ball. He walked his first time. That was after Geddes had blooped in a single. Red Sox have a +27 run differential. That's the best in the American League. Even after a loss yesterday to the Blue Jays. Homestand continuing tonight, 7:10 at Fenway against the Mariners. Good fastball there to Araúz from Kyle Hart.
I think what has been very impressive about this Red Sox start has been their ability to come from behind. They have a number of comeback wins this season. Even a game like last night, they're trailing 4-0, but end up getting to within a run before ultimately falling 6-3 the final at Fenway. But I just think of this year's team as being resilient and a lot different than last year's team. I look at that game, if it happened last year, that probably would have been a lot worse than a 4-0 final. But the Red Sox came back, they chipped away, they got within a run before ultimately falling. That fight is what's different in this team compared to last year's team.
Yeah, it was a tough start for Garrett Richards. Deep into left field, Araúz has crushed one. That's way back. That ball is gone. Home run, Jonathan Araúz out towards the big video board. 2-run shot against Kyle Hart, who's now allowed 4 runs. Boy, and it's impressive to see a guy who's not all that big in stature pack that kind of a wallop. But Araúz has it in the tank.
Looked to be a cut fastball that time from Kyle Hart. There was no doubt about this. Right in the wheelhouse for Jonathan Araúz, a guy who not really known for his power, but man, he put a good swing on that pitch.
398 feet is the estimated travel on that home run to left. Off the bat at 104 miles an hour, says Trackman. Jeter Downs had an RBI double his first time. That pitch missed from Kyle Hart. Kyle said that the way the ballpark has been playing, you really have to hit it well to get a home run. There haven't been cheap ones available here at Polar Park throughout this alternate site. And that was not cheap at all for Arauz. 1 ball, 1 strike on Downs. I know the wind is blowing out, but it's blowing out towards right, and I don't think it mattered what the wind was doing on that ball.
Not at all.
Curveball slipped out of the hand, it appeared, of Kyle Hart. So 1 out, bases are now clear, and there have been 2 runs in his first inning of work, now 2 in the second inning. Look at that flagpole. It's been blowing so hard at times today, I was worried they're going to rip the flag off the pole. Now 3-1 the count on Downs. Spires above Union Station have the flags on top of them. Foul back and a full count. We've had quite a few of these 3-2 situations. There were 3 of them in the first inning, and all 3 the batter ended up taking ball 4. Now the payoff pitch is coming. Right off the mask of Herman. We were talking about last night's Red Sox loss to the Blue Jays before that Arauz home run. And Jim, it was a good point I thought you made. Red Sox could have let that one slip away, but they made it a game. And it was after a rain delay. It was a kind of crummy night. Those are the kind of games where you don't normally see a team show that kind of gumption to fight back. Ball 4 in the dirt. I think it's surprising that Hart has walked 5 batters now.
And it's been a real tough go of it for Hart, that is for sure. Just does not have the feel. A very cold day here at Polar Park.
So we rolled this inning over. Steven Gonsalves will continue with his outing. We're going to turn things over to Jim. We'll rotate our play-by-play here this afternoon as we've got a long sim game. Glad you could tune in. Periscope thanks to Twitter, Facebook Live, all of it through the Woo Sox social media team accounts. Jim, it's yours.
Thank you, Josh. And we sure do have ourselves quite the long afternoon in front of us. 10 scheduled innings here today. And to go back to the Red Sox, to add to how impressive their comeback was, they got down early in that game. It was clear from the start that Garrett Richards just, once again, did not have it around. And they were in a 4-0 hole after 2 innings. Red Sox only had 1 chance to bat. And to fall behind by that margin early in the game on, like you said, just a crummy night with the weather and whatnot, it would have been easy for those guys to just pack it in right then and there. But credit to them, to this team. And again, I think it goes back to Alex Cora being the difference and this team playing with a chip on its shoulder that they did not have in 2020. Here's our view from our third base camera here at Polar Park in downtown Worcester. Sunny skies, some puffy clouds. Talking about the different clouds we've seen over our time here. But the sun is out. It is definitely not a warm day, as we have talked ad nauseum about, that is for sure. Seen a lot of guys go with the winter hats instead of the baseball caps. You can see Jairo Munoz at second base, standing out like a sore thumb with that bright orange winter hat. He's still at second base. We have not seen him hit yet. And he was not on the lineup that we were given before the game, Josh.
I think he must have been a late entrant just in general into the action. So he's just going to play second base. That's the next step for him. He's been banged up. And he has been a staple at second base now for 3 innings. All the movement that he's done is either just move to the right of second or to the left, depending on the hitter.
Jack Lopez takes a strike. Generous call there for Gonsalves, who struck out a pair his last inning. He's got 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. It's sort of the same story as last week with the left-hander. He skips this one well in front of the plate, bounces very high up into the air, about halfway between the mound, oh boy, and the plate. And look out, Steven Gonsalves.
That was comedy of errors. All around, starting with the pitch. The ball hitting off of Bandy. What, 20 feet in the air?
Wow.
And the return throw. I do think that the atmosphere is very light out there today. I mentioned that before, and it does appear that everybody's in good spirits, good-natured.
Lopez takes strike 3 over the outside corner. Good pitch from Gonsalves, who makes quick work of Lopez to begin the inning. One down for Austin Rye. Rye not waiting around, but swings through an excellent curveball. So clearly that's there for Gonsalves here today.
Yeah, you said it earlier. That's his best pitch thus far.
Rye going with the sweatshirt under the jersey, as a lot of guys are doing today. Another curveball. This one hit on the ground left side. Arauz, ever so smooth down at third, throws him out. 2 down. One of the very few balls that have been put in play so far through 2+ innings here at Polar Park.
You know what's great about a guy like Arauz? We just saw the power that he has last inning when he hit the home run, but I think even more so, you love having that defensive versatility that he provides. He can play 3 spots on the infield, and he plays them all very well.
Curveball misses outside.
You know, you forget how young he really is, too. Even though he spent all of last season, the pandemic-shortened year in the major leagues, he's a guy that was really just a double-A ball player when the Red Sox picked him up in the Rule 5 draft.
He does not turn 23 until August 31st. So he spent pretty much the entire big league season last year at the ripe age of 21. Gonsalves working for a quick inning here as he misses inside to Herman.
He had only played 28 AA games before the Red Sox picked him up in the Rule 5 draft, Arauz. Never had AAA.
Curveball bounced right side this time. Munoz throws out Herman, and that'll end the inning. A very brisk 1-2-3 frame for Gonsalves. He needed it. As we are through 2.5 here at Polar Park. Let's see if Kyle Hart can match wits. He's in desperate need of a quick and clean inning, as that was for Gonsalves. So the Red Sox, as we talked about, will open up a series with the Seattle Mariners tonight at Fenway Park to wrap up their longest homestand of the season at Fenway. Mariners are also off to a good start, but that's being overshadowed by what the Oakland A's are doing, as we talked about their 11-game win streak that they are currently riding. Red Sox will then be off following this 4-game series. Have the off day Monday, travel to Citi Field to take on the Mets, and they will face Jacob deGrom in that 2-game set against the Mets. So Kyle Hart looking for, as we said, a clean inning, or just a good inning, really. He's had an inning rollover, failed to record an out in his first inning. He gave up the 2-run shot to Arauz. Looking for the feel on a very cold day at Polar Park.
Yeah, the 5 walks, Jim, that's what sticks out at you through those first 2 innings. Only recorded 1 out total.
That 1 out came on a strikeout. He got Michael Geddes to chase a changeup. The home run for Arauz, he yanked it over the left field fence. And again, it traveled 398 feet according to the TrackMan system. And left his bat at 104 miles an hour. So Hart will face Cesar Puello to begin things here in the bottom of the 3rd. Puello walked against Hart in his first plate appearance.
There was supposed to be a sim game here yesterday, but that got
interrupted by weather. It was raining on and off throughout the afternoon, which is why they didn't play, and that's another big reason why we've got all these pitchers who need to get their work in this afternoon. I know about the rain because I was part of a tarp pull on several occasions yesterday. I'm ashamed to admit that even after, like, real workouts, I'm more sore after pulling the tarp a few times yesterday than from actually doing, like, gym work.
It is a workout, though. It's tough.
Yeah, it's different muscles than you're used to.
Right, exactly. Cesar Pollo on Monday had a very good afternoon. Made a great diving catch towards the line.
No worries.
We saw him triple into the left center field gap. The theatrics and enthusiasm on full display as he takes a strike. There's that theatric take where he throws those hands up. Really tries to sell the call.
He had a 3-hit day against the Mets on Monday, Cesar Pollo did. Also made a great catch. Man, that's 6 walks. Just unable to find the pitch that'll put these hitters away here thus far this afternoon for Kyle. Remember that catch that Pollo made against the Mets? That was the play of the series, diving in left field to take away an extra base hit.
He had such a long way to go for the ball, too, because he was positioned towards the left center field gap, and the ball was hooking towards the line. Had a long way to go, got a great jump, and made a great play. Now, Akemi takes outside. Boy, Kyle Hart having a real tough time here finding the zone.
You know what, though? They're wanting him to pitch 4 innings, or whatever you constitute an inning, because some of these are just rollovers, but they want him to get up out there 4 times today, come, you know, whatever, come what may. And that's what they're going to do, it appears. If you're Paul Abbott, the pitching coach here for the alternate site team, thinking, hey, Kyle, let's see if you can work through this. If this had been a real game, he probably would have gotten the hook by now. But because of the nature of a sim game, you get a chance to work through some things that maybe you normally otherwise would not have been allowed to do.
A couple of good pitches here after missing outside. He's battled back. Same sort of story with Connor Siebold on Monday. We thought he was not going more than 5. We were very surprised to see him back out there for the 6th inning. Ended up throwing 86 pitches, but I think his quick 4th and 5th innings, I believe he threw a combined 15 or so pitches in those 2 frames, allowed him to go back out for the 6th, then he got through it. Sort of an up and down performance, but overall I think he would take it from Connor Siebold. Akemi a weak wave right back to the mound. Hart tries to start the double play, and they will turn successfully. Much needed there for Kyle Hart.
You know, for whatever reason, Jim, there are so many times that lead throw to second base by a pitcher can be problematic. So nice job by Hart because he led Jack Lopez, the shortstop, perfectly to the bag. That's the key there in trying to turn a 1-6-3. It's the throw down from the pitcher's mound to second base, I always think. And if you do it right, you can get the double play, which is what they did.
I think what made that throw so on target was the fact that he wasn't throwing it back uphill. He took a step to his right, tried to remain as flat as possible as he issues a ball here to Jet Bandy.
I always find it a little fascinating how challenging it can be sometimes for pitchers to throw to bases. You think about it, as they throw from 60 feet 6 inches, those guys could put a ball right into a 1-inch area sometimes. You could fit it into a pinhole. But then if you're throwing to bases, it's just a different thing altogether. You see a lot of throwing errors.
Jet Bandy batting for the 2nd time. He walked on 4 pitches against Hart a couple innings ago. Takes inside here. Bandy, one of 3 catchers currently here at the alternate site. The 4th, Connor Wong, is with the Red Sox at Fenway. I remember Ben Crockett in one of the Zooms following a workout last year at the alternate site. Josh talked about that and how they used that final spot in the reserves or the taxi squad or whatever you want to call it with the big league club as sort of a reward for guys. And I think that falls in line with what Connor Wong has been doing. He's been performing so well that they figured, hey, why not come up and spend some time around the big club?
Mm-hmm. Well, if anybody has it difficult at the alternate site, and all these guys do, because you're putting in some, at times, very monotonous work instead of getting to play against other teams. But the catchers have it the worst. They got to catch all the bullpens for the, how many pitchers are here, Jim? 11, 12, 13 maybe?
At least, yeah, 11 or 12.
So that's a lot of bullpens to catch.
Curveball missing low and inside, ball 4. That is the 7th walk issued by Hart today.
And I bet you Kyle, as we've said, he's a competitor. He doesn't like the fact they've had to roll over now all 3 innings that he's been out there. That hasn't, on his own, gotten the 3 outs that would send the team back into the dugout. They'll have one more chance, we think, if they stick to the script of 4 innings.
So we are through 3 full here at Polar Park. Take a quick break and come back with the 4th inning right after this. Rodriguez was excellent the other night against the Blue Jays. And he's among the leaders in winning percentage dating back to the start of 2019. Obviously missed all of last year battling myocarditis, but he has been one of the most effective pitchers, specifically left-handers, going back a couple of years now.
I thought it was great really how he talked about how exciting it was to finally pitch at Fenway again for the first time. That's what he did against the Blue Jays on Tuesday. And that was the first time in, I think, Jim, it was like 19 months since he had pitched in a game on that mound, and it meant something to him.
Yeah, he started the, I believe, the last game of the regular season in 2019 at Fenway Park against the Orioles. Alex Cora wanted him to go for 20 wins. He was at 19. Unfortunately, did not get to the 20-win plateau, but nonetheless a great year that year. Alex Cora has been very complimentary, as he should be, of Rodriguez, and just stating the obvious. The fact that he's back in a big league mound is quite the accomplishment given everything that he has gone through. Duran skies this one to shallow left center field. The wind playing with this one. A long run in and a catch for Geddes in shallow left center.
Anything up in the air is an adventure this afternoon. Jaron Duran talking to Jet Bandy about what he swung at there. Did I swing at a strike? Where was that pitch? What was that pitch, perhaps? Got himself out. Nice play by Geddes to deal with the breeze.
Speaking of said breeze, you can see it really messing with our center field camera today. Marcus Wilson digs in. Check swing, but it's a called strike. I saw that ball took a real nosedive when it was up in the air. From our vantage point here, it went up to the left and then took a sharp dive to the right. Anything hit in the air today is an adventure. Gonsalves working here in the fourth. Again, he is scheduled to throw 6. One of 9 guys on the docket today to throw here at the alternate site. Inside, Wilson jackknifing out of the way.
So the winds are about consistently 20 miles an hour today, but I don't think that tells the story when it starts to gust. I think you're getting 30, maybe even 40 miles an hour at times. Not quite gale force, but it's enough. We're going to get our first idea of what the different seasons are like at Polar Park, too. I mean, remember, Jim, there hasn't been minor league baseball played in these parts in a very long time. A little independent league team in this region, but they didn't start play until the summer months. So you wonder, what's it going to be like in these April and then into the early May games? It's a different climate, even though we're only, what, 40 miles north of the former AAA home of the Red Sox in Rhode Island. Here in the Worcester Hills, Central Mass. It's a very different climate. Can be, anyway.
Wilson takes strike 3 over the outside edge. Good pitch there from Gonsalves, much to the chagrin of Wilson, who has a word for the umpire. 2 gone here in the fourth.
I think our umpire might be thinking, well, you know, there have been so many walks anyway today. I'm going to make these guys try to swing the bat a little bit. He could have expanded that strike zone just a tad, but what have you seen, Jim? I think 8 combined walks. 9, actually more than that, because Hart himself has
7.
7, yeah. So I think you're looking at 10 combined walks. Might as well try to get these guys moving the bats a little bit off the shoulders.
Chad De La Guerra, all bundled up in that left-hand box. Yanks one down to first, bobbled by Akemi, couldn't find it, but in time to recover with Gonsalves there at first. And that'll end the inning. So, back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for Steven Gonsalves after he worked in and out of trouble in the first and second frames. Seems to be settling in, and here today is Gonsalves. So we move along to the bottom of the fourth. You can see the view from behind home plate with the shadows starting to creep out towards the batter's box as we enter the 4 o'clock hour.
That last ball that was hit to Akemi, that would be one that had you been in a real game and the batter was really hustling out of the box, it may very well have been an error, but because De La Guerra, I think large due to the conditions, wasn't going 100% up the first baseline, they ended up getting him by plenty over there. But Akemi's going to be paying the price if he makes a play like that on a pretty routine ground ball otherwise in a game where the batter might have been hustling just a little bit more.
So we alluded to this last half inning. There are 9 guys scheduled to pitch today. You're seeing 2 of them here, Gonsalves and Hart. And again, this is obviously all subject to change because in SimCity there are no rules. But according to the schedule that we were given prior to the game, Mike Shawarren is scheduled to throw. It appears he is throwing down at first base bullpen. Bobby Pointer is set to throw a pair. Seth Blair an inning. Matt Hall an inning. John Schreiber an inning. Marcus Wilson will toss a frame. And lastly, Kevin McCarthy will pitch 1 inning here today as well. Again, all of that subject to change, but that seems to be the plan here today.
I think you're supposed to say trademark after you say SimCity, there are no rules. Trademark.
Has a little TM in a circle there. Michael Geddes leading off. Geddes had that bloop single to shallow right center. And he lifts this one into shallow center once again. Munoz backtracking and catching out number 1.
Look at what Jaron Duran has done. He's gone to the full winter jacket as he plays center field. I don't know if I've ever seen that. He looks like one of the bullpen guys on a cold day waiting in the bullpen.
Looks like a pitcher when he gets on base and throws the jacket on in the National League.
It is a unique look for an outfielder.
We've got guys in jackets, hooded sweatshirts, over the jerseys, under the jerseys, winter hats. It's that kind of day here in the Canal District. Arauz rolls over that one. He lined that home run to left field his last time. It's really the big blow here today, along with, I suppose, the double for Jeter Downs. But that home run over the left field fence for Arauz came his last time up against Kyle Hart. Now he takes one on the corner for strike 2.
You know, I was saying after his 3rd inning rolled over, Jim, that I think the fact that the coaching staff here is letting him work through the command issues that he's had, maybe that could be beneficial in the long run. And I like to see the fight as he comes out for his last 4th and final scheduled inning here today. Thus far, he does appear to have figured something out. Got the routine pop-up from Geddes. Working ahead in the count to Arauz as well. Until that, another arm side miss.
Seems to be working at a much better pace here in this 4th inning as well. That just misses the corner. Hart thought that was ball 3. I believe it was as well. Arauz is on his way down to first. By my count, that was ball 3 as well. Kyle Hart can't believe it. Home plate umpire lost count too.
Yeah, he said, wasn't that a 2-2 pitch? I'm quite certain, Kyle Hart says, that was only 2 balls.
Austin Rye, who's playing first base, just did a 2-hand shove into the back of Arauz, playfully saying, get back into the box. So here he is. It is 3-2.
I mean, hey, Jim, it's a sim game. How many guys really want to walk all this much? Come on. Don't you want to hit? You just did a home run last inning, 2 innings ago.
Here's the payoff. And a swing and a miss. Good breaking ball there from Kyle Hart. 2 down.
Left shaking his head as he makes his way back to the dugout. Oh, I really thought that was ball 4. Sorry, guys. A good curveball from Hart. Put him away.
7th punch out for Kyle Hart to go along with 7 walks. Let's see if he can have a 1-2-3 frame once again. Be a good way to bounce back after a couple of rough innings. They rolled last inning over, even though he walked Puello and then got the 1-6-3 double play that he induced himself. Then walked Bandy. Downs rips this one to left field. Puello over, he won't get there. Well, that might be Marcus Wilson, actually. Downs slides in safely to second base. And that's the second 2-bagger of the day for Jeter Downs.
I think he hit this ball even harder than the first one, which was just up into the jet stream and went for a ride. That was a hard line drive. Good swings from Jeter Downs. Now helping out the grounds crew over there is our left fielder. I'll tell you who it is in a moment. I'm going to reacquaint myself here with the lineup card. I think that is Marcus Wilson.
That is Marcus Wilson. That was one of the cardboard boxes we were talking about earlier that blew off the Hanover deck before the game started. Putting it back in the bullpen was Wilson.
Did you see Wilson try to make that throw all the way to second base with that jacket on? Looks like it was extra effort.
This is Cesar Puello, and that is strike one. I would agree. I think Downs hit that ball a lot harder than he did double. What's interesting from Jeter Downs is that notice he's got a lot of loft on his swing. He puts a lot of balls in the air. As Puello waves through that pitch. He certainly has mastered, Downs has, the craft of the launch angle, which is all the craze these days. But he definitely squared that ball up, that last one he just hit, and drove it down the line.
I'm impressed with Jeter Downs' improvement with the bat from last summer's alternate site to what we've seen thus far here at the beginning of this camp in 2021. I do think his offense seems to have made strides. Just the at-bats he's putting together and the solid contact he's making. That seems to be much more consistent.
Puello rolls this over. De La Guerra throws him out. And that's out number 3. And that'll end the inning. So Geddes pops to shallow center. Abreu strikes out swinging Downs doubles. And Puello grounds to third. We are through 4 full. Here at Polar Park, we'll step aside and come back with the top half of the 5th inning when we return. Getting hungry looking at some of the concessions down in the concourse. The Coors Light Home Plate Bar, the Wonder Bar Pizza is going to be a full slate here at Polar Park. Back for the 5th and back with the play-by-play. Here's Josh.
Thank you, Jim. Steven Gonsalves starts off Jack Lopez with a low fastball. It's been 4 scoreless innings from Gonsalves. He's looked very sharp here. Scheduled to go 6 innings here today in this sim game. There's that curveball yet again. It was a good one that fooled Lopez over the top of a ball that ended up bouncing in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thanks for tuning in. It's Woo Sox Productions from Polar Park, bringing you pictures, sights, and sounds of the Red Sox alternate training site on a Thursday cold afternoon. It's been Gonsalves versus Kyle Hart. Nice bounce back from Kyle Hart. 3 innings in which he really struggled. But then he ended it up with a quick and easy 4th inning, and that is the final scheduled inning that Kyle Hart would have this afternoon. Stranded that double that Jeter Downs hit against him. 2-2 the count on Jack Lopez. Mike Shawarren thrown in the bullpen. It looks like he'll pitch the bottom of the 5th. Meanwhile, this man Gonsalves should go 6 innings today. Red Sox Twitter is abuzz over the last few minutes after a report from the Boston Globe's Pete Abraham. A couple of Red Sox prospects set to play for Team USA as they try to qualify for this summer's Olympics in Tokyo. Nice hop for Arauz over at third, and he takes care of Lopez on the throw. Moving to his left, Jonathan Arauz. Another out for Gonzalez. That's 7 in a row, might be 8 in a row he's retired. And 3 early walks and a hit batter, but he has found the command as the outing has gone along. And Austin Rye coming up to the tunes of Lenny Kravitz. I don't know if these players chose these songs or not. Anyway, that's an interesting bit of news. It's Tristan Casas and Jarren Duran, who's here at the alternate site. Of course, we've been featuring him throughout our broadcasts, including today. And those two players, Casas and Duran, according to Peter Abraham, will be at the end of May trying to help the United States team qualify for the Olympic competition this summer. Another play for Arauz. Low throw that time, and it's unable to be scooped by Akami, so Austin Rye will reach. Just as I had recently talked about how sure-handed Arauz seems to be defensively, Quirk's low throw. I will take the credit for that, Jonathan. That was the broadcaster jinx. I got you.
Well, what's strange about this play is that he seemed to have all the time in the world. He fielded it cleanly, but he just spiked it. But to go back to the Peter Abraham tweet, that's a very interesting tidbit. It's unfortunate news for Worcester Red Sox fans, as it seems like Jarren Duran was slated to be the center fielder.
Chris Herman takes ball 1, 1 on, 1 out. We're in the 5th inning, scheduled for potentially as many as 10 innings today in this sim game. Now, the Olympic baseball qualifier is going to be held in Florida. Fouls it off, 1 ball, 1 strike. The United States is hosting the Americas qualifying tournament, being put together and run by the World Baseball Softball Confederation. So whoever wins that tournament in Florida this June will claim the 5th bid to the 6-team Olympic field. And then the 2nd and 3rd place finishers in that tournament will have one final chance to qualify for the Olympics in the middle of June. We've already had 4 nations qualify, but the United States is yet to qualify. And so that's the team that both Duran and Casas should be playing in if that report is accurate. That ball is going to carry. Out there, though, is Geddes, right in front of the warning track to put away Herman's drive. And back to first goes Rye. That's out number 2. Here are the teams that will be in that qualifier in Florida that Jarren Duran and company will have to compete against to try to get into the Olympics. Going to go up against the Dominican, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Canada, and Colombia. I'll be honest with you, you listen to that field, Jim, that's not a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, the United States may not even be the favorite.
No, not at all. That is going to be a tough competition for the United States.
There's Jarren Duran into left field. It's a vacant spot. We'll see how they rule it. It's an out, says Bruce Crabb. He has put up the closed fist, and Austin Ryan. Jarren Duran can't believe it. He says, give me a double, coach. There's lobbying going on in each way. Gonzalez says, oh, I would have had a catch on that by my left fielder had there been one. Controversy from the coaching staff. Bruce Crabb was at first base coaching, and those are the folks, the coaches, who determine if there's no defender in a given location in an inning. If the ball's hit that way, the coaches are the ones who determine hit or out.
What do you think?
Out.
I would have called him out. It was a... He stung it, though. I would love to see the exit velocity on that. That was a great piece of hitting by Duran. Certainly lobbying his case at second base, but I do agree. I think that would have been an out.
Hey, I appreciate the intensity with which he really wanted that to be ruled a hit. A cold day. Already been playing now for 4.5 innings. He's already been at bat, what, 5 times, Jim? At least 4? So it's going to be Mike Shawarren's turn to come in and pitch after the first 4 bottom half of innings were handled by Kyle Hart. Gave up 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the third inning when, or in the second inning when Jonathan Arauz took him out over the left field fence. 7 walks by Kyle Hart, Jim, was the story, unfortunately for him. He just could never get a feel for the ball here today on a cold afternoon.
He certainly did not. The first 2 innings were pretty tough for Kyle, but he seemed to bear down in the third and then in the fourth. Although the third inning did roll over, he did not record 3 outs, so it wasn't technically a full inning, but nonetheless, ends up settling down in the third, pitched well in the fourth as well. So I think you have to be happy with the way that he settled in. Obviously, as we've talked ad nauseum today, it's a tough day to be a hitter or a pitcher with these conditions. So he settled down, made some adjustments, and I think he picked up the pace in that final frame as well.
So here comes Shawarren, nicknamed the Unicorn, going back to his days at the University of Maryland where he pitched his undergrad ball. Made a big league team a couple of years ago for the Red Sox. Now off the 40-man roster is Shawarren, trying to work his way back. Seems to be in really good shape. Lost some weight working there with catcher Chris Herman, getting ready to work this bottom of the 5th inning. 6'2" Mike Shawarren. .14 career big league relief appearances. Was a starting pitcher for most of his minor league career up until the time he got into the major leagues when he was moved into that relief role, and that's where he works these days. Yanks that one down and into Akami, ball 1. One of the things that's very fascinating about having baseball in the Olympics is the fact that the best baseball players in the world are in the middle of a major league season. So it's difficult to put together the best representative rosters for each given nation. They do allow professionals, of course. It's not the amateur requirement that some of the Olympic sports have. 4 nations have already qualified, but again, the Americas have not had that tournament yet. It's going to begin at the very beginning of June. And again, the report out of the Boston Globe is that Jarren Duran and Tristan Casas will be part of Team USA. The 4 nations that have already qualified, Japan as the host, they get in automatically. That's always the rule in the Olympics. If you host, you're in anything you want to be. But the Japanese, you figure, would have gotten in anyways. South Korea, Mexico, that's interesting. Mexico claimed a berth with a walk-off win over the United States team at the 2019 WBSC Premier 12. Can't recall that happening.
Neither can I.
Interesting, the U.S. would have lost to Mexico.
Right?
Yeah. And the 4th team that has already qualified is Team Israel. There will be 6 teams total. Ball 4 to Akami, so that's how the afternoon begins for Mike Shawarren. Another pitcher who, unfortunately, at times over the course of his Red Sox tenure has had issues with his command.
Well, if you're Jarren Duran, think of all the places where you've played baseball over the last 12 months. Or even if you want to go back to 2019, where he's with High A Salem, then goes to Double A Portland. Last year is in Pawtucket at the alternate site, goes to the Puerto Rican Winter League, then spring training with the big club here at Polar Park, then going back down to Florida with Team USA.
Not confirmed by the Red Sox yet. We should say this is all based off the reporting by the Boston Globe, but I would say that that's quite an honor to be selected for that team. Same with even a younger player in Tristan Casas. Tristan is at the minor league spring training being held at Fort Myers for the Red Sox at the moment. He's not a member of the alternate training site here. But Casas is, depending on which service you use to look at the rankings, he's either the top or one of the 2 or 3 top prospects that the Red Sox have. And for Team USA to select them to be part of that Olympic qualifying tournament is, I think, a real tip of acknowledgement, tip of the cap to the talent that those guys have to be able to help their country qualify for the Olympics.
No question. Tristan Casas, 21 years of age, at that age, as you talked about, that is quite the honor.
On the ground by Bandy, Jairo Munoz, flip and over to Lopez. They'll start a double play. Well, that was a nifty defensive play there by the veteran middle infielders. Bandy having a laugh about it. Jairo just been a pillar at second base out there today, and he decided to flip it to Lopez instead of taking it himself.
Have you ever not seen a smile on Jairo Munoz's face? It seems like every time we get a shot of him up close, he's laughing, he's smiling, he's having a great time. I think he's really the catalyst for that loose atmosphere, especially today, as you've pointed out a couple different times, Josh. These guys are enjoying themselves and trying to make the best of a very cold day.
2 out for Shawaryn. It's the bottom of our 5th inning. Sim City, Worcester, here in Polar Park. Then Michael Geddes takes it low, ball 1. Sinker there from Shawaryn. He's got a 4-seamer and that pitch. Also a curveball, a slider, and a change. Full repertoire for a guy who's now being used as a middle innings reliever. Geddes the leadoff hitter for the bottom half of the innings batting group. Wind just howling left to right. On the ground, just foul. That was wide of the bag, third base side. De La Guerra had it get past him, but a strike nonetheless on Michael Geddes. I would imagine that the Red Sox certainly had to sign off on any addition to Team USA for a player in their organization, such as Jarren Duran. What you would think of as the calculus for Chaim Bloom and the rest of the player development staff, led by Ben Crockett and Brian Abraham, they'd be thinking, all right, we're going to substitute a week or two or perhaps longer of development time in a AAA or a AA roster, maybe in Casas's case, high A. You substitute that international competition, which might be, Jim, even more valuable. Who knows? Certainly a different environment than playing in the regular minor leagues, which is what it'll be. Two and two on Geddes.
You know, it's interesting. We talked last week about even how in 2021 it's going to be difficult for all of these big league clubs to try to assign minor league players to all the different levels with the lost season last year, and how tough it was to really get a sense as to where they were in their development.
Got him swinging. Nice pitch by Shawaryn. May have been the slider to strike him out. Inning over. Walk, but then a double play and a K for the Unicorn. Heading into our 6th inning here today. It's the final one scheduled for the pitcher, Steven Gonsalves. And he's been one of the stories of the day thus far, if not the story. Settled in to pitch a solid first 5, and now he'll get a 6th. Really stretched out into a starter's role, which is where he figures to be when the minor league season gets underway in a couple of weeks. Live at Polar Park.
Well, Josh, if it weren't for the error by Arauz, he would have set down 10 in a row. I think you had mentioned that at the start of his last inning. Would have had 3 consecutive perfect frames, but nonetheless got that weak contact from Austin Rai. And similar to Kyle Hart, Steven Gonsalves has done a terrific job of settling into this outing. I wonder if you could hear our sound system from your apartment.
I bet you I could if I were at home. Yeah, not too far. Rocking out to some Kelly Clarkson here. But I bet you the players do appreciate the fact that the staff in the production room is taking the time to provide a soundtrack for these sim games, which otherwise would be devoid of any kind of real atmosphere. No fans allowed in these games.
I know last year we did pump in some fake crowd noise during our sim games at the alternate site in Pawtucket. Have not had that this year. There were a few games where we had folks in the stands. On Sunday we welcomed some of our corporate partners and their friends and family, and also some local and state politicians to the ballpark for the game against the Mets alternate training site. So you've had some background noise there too, but also the fact that this is, as we've talked about a lot, still an active construction site. So you can hear jackhammers and some sawing and buzzing going on in the background too. That can kind of take the place for the fake crowd noise that we had last year.
Who needs approximated crowd sounds when you've got jackhammers? Construction work for the day ceased. We began this sim game just about an hour and a half ago. Thanks for being with us. Josh Maurer, Jim Kane. Mike DeMars is directing our show. Thanks to all the cameramen, the folks in that production room, and outside in the elements, bringing you the pictures here today because it's not an easy day to be working. Thanks to the cold and the wind. Marcus Wilson starts the 6th inning against Gonsalves. And the hook misses with ball 1. One of the changes since we were last on the air here on Monday, now into Thursday, is that Mount Cardboard has dissipated out over the first base bullpen. They leveled the mountain. The mountain of cardboard boxes, that is, if you haven't been with us. There were hundreds of them sitting over top that bullpen, and now they have been cleaned up, and all that seems to be left. I don't know, what are those, plastic bags? Chairs. They're chairs. Covering plastic bags.
I know how disappointed you must be that Mount Cardboard is no longer out there.
It had a good life.
Sure did.
That's the new Hanover deck signage that has just appeared. Good pitch. And there's the tarp I was talking about that I became very acclimated with yesterday. Many other members of the Worcester Red Sox front office staff. Jim somehow avoided that tarp.
Well, that's why I don't live 5 minutes away from the park.
That's smart. In some ways smart. At the knees, strike 2 to Marcus Wilson. Full count. 3-2 leading off the 6th.
I gotta say, though, compared to my past tarp experience, this tarp here at Polar Park is a lot lighter than past tarps I have pulled in my day.
Well, there just must not have been very much rain on it. In the air to right. That ball's going to carry deep towards the Worcester wall, and right off the top it stays in play. Wilson thought he had a home run. Did it hit over top of the wall? It did, and they're going to rule it a homer, I believe. But they haven't put any yellow line or anything to differentiate the top of the fence from the seating area, and it's a home run the opposite way for Wilson for the first run against Gonsalves.
I gotta tell you, I don't think this was a home run. Just based off the way that it caromed off the wall. We've talked a lot about it. That concrete, you can see Stephen Gonsalves and company pointing out to it. In fact, everybody's pointing out that way, but I think that probably was 21 feet up the wall. It is 22 to clear it. It was just off the very top, in my opinion. It's a little different from the Green Monster at Fenway, where it does have that cutout, that indentation, and there is a line where you can see it clear. It's not the case here yet at Polar Park.
And Jim, the result of the argument, I think, has been they ruled Marcus Wilson out. He would have been out had it not been a home run because Puello played the carom and threw him out at second base because Wilson was in a home run trot. Not that it really matters. Nobody's keeping score and nobody's keeping stats, but Marcus didn't seem happy about that decision at all. I'm with you, though. I didn't think it got out. Just from my naked eye. We don't have, unfortunately, the technology quite set up yet to be able to bring you a replay of it. But I know Waring up here in the broadcast booth operating our high home camera gave you a great shot. Wilson was not happy. Now De La Guerra gets into one. Deep into right center field, and that ball stays in the yard as well. Geddes plays the carom. De La Guerra saunters into second base. 2 in a row that almost left the yard, and this time they'll settle for a double.
Boy, Stephen Gonsalves has been no mystery to either Marcus Wilson or Chad De La Guerra here in the 6th inning. Man, a couple of tape measure shots that De La Guerra admired after he made contact. He thought that ball was getting out of here. I did myself as well. I was surprised, but again, the wind blowing as mightily as it is definitely played a factor.
wind is blowing straight across the field from left to right. All right, so let's say, Jim, 1 on, 1 out. You had the Wilson, what we think was ruled a single, then out at second base after he thought he was in his home run trot. We think. And then that double from De La Guerra that he thought was going to be a home run. It's 403 feet to dead center field. Now that ball went a little bit to the right of center as Jack Lopez fouls one off against Gonsalves. I think the hardest part of this park to hit a home run, other than, of course, straightaway center, is going to be the left center field gap where it's 391 feet. That's the area there where De La Guerra's ball just hit, about midway up the fence. Fastball that time, 91 on the gun still from Gonsalves. That's where he was in the first inning velocity-wise, and that's where he is in his 6th inning. It's funny, one of the things Kyle Hart said to the media after his start Saturday was there's going to be some wacky plays when the ball hits off the Worcester wall. Base hit again. 3 in a row. They're going to hold De La Guerra at third base is the ruling without a left fielder. And a single for Lopez puts him on the corners. Anyway, Kyle Hart said that when the ball hits the Worcester wall, Jack Lopez hurt his hand on that swing, huh?
That's what I was saying earlier. Even on a cold day, when you barrel up a baseball, it can sting you and go all the way down into your hands, and you're going to feel that for a little bit.
So 1 out, they're on the corners, top of the 6th. Austin Rye into the batter's box. 0-1. Kyle Hart thought that if a ball hits that Worcester wall, you're going to have some wacky plays potentially. He said there could be some times where a first or second baseman has to pick the ball up just because of the hard nature of it. 22 feet high, and we just had our first wacky play. Ball that was deemed a home run by the hitter and in play by everybody else, apparently. I think the learning moment in that for Marcus Wilson, if there is one, would be, hey, even if you're thinking it's a home run, you still need to run it out.
Just got to run.
I mean, he was in his home run trot before he got to first base. Who says you can't see fun things in the sim game? Got some expensive lenses in front of us here in the radio booth, Jim.
No kidding.
That one's hit hard and high into right center. Puello, he's going to do the little make you think I'm going to catch it. I had you fooled, but not really. It falls in for a hit, and there's the first run. Finally off of Gonsalves on what will be his final pitch of the day. Austin Rye just bloops in an RBI single, despite the best duping efforts from Cesar Puello.
I think that's exactly what he was trying to do, although at the same time you could wonder perhaps he lost it in the sun? Who really knows with his theatrics and the way he handles things out in the field, but I guess we'll never know the answer.
Well, I guess, you know, there's a lot to talk about if these guys get back to their respective dugouts after that half inning. The Wilson ball, De La Guerra is talking about his. He said, how did mine not get out? The way the wind is blowing, you can almost read his lips. He ends up scoring as Rye bloops in a hit after Lopez had also singled. All 4 hitters that inning got hits against Gonsalves, and I think maybe Jim, as his outing was coming to an end, maybe just tiring just a little bit. Otherwise, he was very good here today in adverse pitching conditions.
Well, he really was, and we talked about how if it weren't for the error by Arauz in his second to last inning, it would have set down 10 in a row and then ran into some issues in that final frame. And I do think you have to attribute that to fatigue because they pushed him here going into 6 innings. But I thought he did a nice job of just settling into this outing because it did not look good early. He had a lot of strikeouts, but I would say wildly effective because he also piled up the walks as well, but seemed to own in on his control and ended up all in all pitching pretty well.
Josh Maurer, Jim Kane, Mike Shawarren will go out for his second inning of work as our umpire gets to meet with Billy McMillan, the manager of this alternate training site, and also Bruce Crabb is out there.
One of the things that still needs to be determined for this ballpark once the real games begin in a couple of weeks, it's my understanding there have not been ground rules yet written out. And that's something that perhaps the coaching staff can talk to the umpire about. Every baseball park has its own set of unique ground rules by which the teams have to play. And they're TBD as far as I'm aware here at Polar Park. At least they were as of a couple of days ago.
It's a great point. And they're probably just, we're so far away it's tough to tell, but it seems like they are talking about the ball that Marcus Wilson hit. I mean, at Fenway, it's a little bit easier to tell. Kike Hernandez actually had one on Monday against Lucas Giolito. It has sort of that indentation or that shelf, so to speak, at the very top of the wall. There's also that very distinct red line that you can see a ball that goes over or does not. Here that might be a bit of an issue. There is some sort of a horizontal bar or line just atop the wall, but that, along with some of the other ground rules, certainly have to be discussed and ironed out.
And I think, too, that the plan is for that Worcester wall, at least the part of it that's over top of the padded area at the bottom, is going to be painted a different color than it currently is. So that differential in the colors might help you, too. It's going to be a lighter blue for the majority of that 22-foot high wall before you get to the seats. And I feel I should tell our listeners and viewers, if you want to watch a game from above the Worcester wall, you can buy seats up top there. Do we have a special name for them? You know, like at Fenway, they're the monster seats. What do we call them here?
I think they're just the Worcester wall seats.
The WWS.
There you go.
Arauz against Shawarin takes strike one with an off-speed pitch. Bottom of our 6th inning. It's been a while since we saw a run. In the bottom half of the innings anyway. They had 4 quick runs against Kyle Hart. Now we just had a run off of the top half of the inning batting group against Steven Gonzalez for the first time. 0-2 the count here on Arauz. He hit a 2-run home run earlier. And that was when he was batting right-handed. Now he's switched around to hit left for the first time here in this sim game. Marcus Walden getting loose in the bullpen. Change up low. I'm fascinated to think who is in charge of writing out the ground rules for a ballpark. Is it the teams? Is it the Worcester Red Sox front office? Is it the league? Who does it?
That's an interesting question. I do not know.
Yeah, well, maybe you can get involved, Jim. You've been watching as much baseball as just about anybody else up here.
They should include us. We should be the Ground Rules Committee. We can start that up.
Okay. Be careful what you offer your services for. That's in the air. Whoa, how about this diving attempt? And unfortunately, unable to be caught there. Marcus Wilson, I think, moved to center. Laying out his body, and Wilson almost took it away. Arauz gets a double on a gift. Just a little pop that found a perfect spot in the outfield.
Boy, bodies flying there. A lot happening on that play. Again, the wind. That ball took an absolute nosedive. You could see it rise above the light towers from our vantage point and then take a sharp dip down. And Wilson, as you could see, had changed direction. He came darting in, just barely missed, making a great acrobatic catch.
He and Jaron Duran have switched outfield positions here for this 6th inning. There's Marcus. He moved from left to center, and Jaron Duran went to left. With those big, puffy winter coats on each of them, hard to identify at times from where we sit. Ball 1 on Jeter Downs. He's had a very nice day with the bat, has Jeter. That's what Mother Nature is doing to the flagpole out there. Jeter Downs hit a couple of doubles against Kyle Hart. Now facing Mike Shawarin for the first time.
first double into left center, then he pulled one close to the line in left field, back in the third. Fourth inning, I beg your pardon, was his second hit. And the breaking ball spoiled on the ground, foul by Jeter Downs.
Interesting to see Duran get some action in left field. Almost all of the time he's in center. Switching it up here in the 6th inning. Jacket and all.
Yeah, hand in the pocket. Keep the throwing hand from going numb. That one stays up. 2-1 the count. So it looks like Marcus Walden next man up after the 6 innings from Gonsalves. He'll get to face the top of the inning batting group. Nobody out here for Shawaryn. Good slider and a better take by Jeter Downs. That's a hard pitch to lay off.
Yeah, it is. Very good pitch, but an even better take. You're right about that. Because Shawaryn has a good one, as you see. Walden getting loose.
The bespectacled right-handed pitcher. 3 balls, 1 strike, a hitter's count for Jeter Downs. On the ground to third, De La Guerra scoops, holds the runner, and a perfect throw across. Well done at the hot corner there by Chad. Of all the players out there who are not wearing a winter jacket, Chad is otherwise the most bundled up because of that full face shield he's got on.
Well, Jarren Duran in his first at bat, he came to bat as he typically does. He normally doesn't have a long sleeve or even a 3/4 sleeve shirt under his jersey, and that was again the case today. But I think by the time he got out there and the game started, he figured, I better throw a jacket or something on. It is cold.
We said earlier, it's a windows closed kind of day here in the broadcast booth. Cesar Puello coming to the plate. You know, the one person who would have the best idea as to whether or not the ball Marcus Wilson hit in the top of the inning was or was not a home run would be this man in the batter's box, Puello, because he was the right fielder who was standing right underneath that wall and looking up at it. And he's the one who immediately played the carom and threw it to second base. Puello is a very good outfielder. Takes a strike. Well done by Shawaryn. It's amazing how quickly Puello can let go with the bottom hand of the bat when he takes a pitch. He's just holding it with one hand after watching a ball go by him. When he was coming up in the Mets organization, he was one of the best minor league hitters that New York had for several years. That's just a tiny little taste of major league time over the course of his career, Puello. But I think you would say now no longer a young guy, just a veteran, good presence to have in your organization. It's made a very good impression on the Red Sox. It's that one hard to center field for Wilson. That ball just dies in the breeze. Tagging is Jonathan Arauz. Aggressive base running to move over to third now with 2 out. Well, Shawaryn's looked good so far today. I'm sorry, Jim.
No, he sure has. Not an easy thing to do if you're Marcus Wilson, to try to make a play at third with the throw from the distance, but you also got to consider the jacket. Looks like he's got a hooded sweatshirt on underneath, too. It's not easy to throw when you've got all those layers on.
Could be the last batter of the day faced by Shawaryn. It's Josh Ockamy. Ripped foul, hard hit. Out in front, though, was Ock. Down the right field line it goes. 0-1. Warren walked Akami to begin his outing last inning, but then quickly erased him off the base paths when he got a double play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at third base. That's Arauz with 2 outs. I don't know if it's appropriate or not when you get weather conditions like this to say that it's Earth Day. Does that mean is it appropriate you'd have crazy weather on Earth Day, which we celebrate here throughout?
I think it might be.
Right, it means Mother Nature is flexing her muscles.
That's a good way to describe it.
Some green already in bloom. I mean, we have had some 70-degree days. Before today, it's 40. You know, Jim, this is the only planet we've got. We have to celebrate it. Good pitch. Did he go? Well, there's really nobody to appeal to. Just stay with the ball. It's 2-2 on Akami.
Boy, and Mother Nature, especially in New England, likes to keep us all on our toes, doesn't she? Got 40-degree temperatures and rain yesterday. The forecast, well, besides Sunday, but beyond that, the extended 7-day forecast looks great, but who knows? We'll get another curveball or 2 from her.
Got him swinging. Nice pitch by Shawaran. He works around the bloop double. Couple of scoreless frames for the right-hander Mike Shawaran. Nice day's work. You figured he could be comfortable pitching in the suboptimal conditions because he's a Jersey guy. He knows the Northeast. We're going to take a quick break. Come back with our 7th inning of play today in the sim game. Marcus Walden coming in right after this. Time for the 7th inning. Marcus Walden coming in to pitch. Well, we've seen a lot of action from Marcus Wilson, the other Marcus W in the game today, so it's time to go to Marcus Walden. He replaces Steven Gonsalves, who went the first 6 innings. Faced the top of the order batting group. Now Walden, the big league veteran, out there, and we'll take over play-by-play for the next couple. Go back to Jim King.
Thank you, Josh. Walden coming on for the 7th inning, and we're just about halfway through here. We still got plenty of baseball left on the docket today, and again, according to the schedule that we were handed prior to first pitch, Bobby Pointer is also set to throw, and in fact, he is loosening down in the first base bullpen. Seth Blair is still yet to throw. Matt Hall, John Schreiber, and Kevin McCarthy. So buckle up, folks. More baseball here the rest of the day at Polar Park as we come up on the 5 o'clock hour. Walden will face Chris Herman to lead off here in what we'll call the top of the 7th inning. Walden exclusively out of the stretch. Fires the first pitch strike to begin the frame.
Sinker sliders. Bread and butter for Marcus Walden.
One pitch goes down and in to lefties. The other goes down and away. That one, the sinker, going down and away. A beauty. And Herman couldn't lay off.
It's really not a ton of difference in the velocity between those two pitches either. The sinker will sit about 91 to 93. The slider, 87 to 91.
That's strike 3 on the corner. Excellent pitch from Walden, who makes quick work of Chris Herman to begin the inning.
Couldn't tell if Herman was upset with the call or if he was upset with himself for not being able to get the bat off the shoulder as that pitch came across close to that outside corner. He wasn't very happy, had some words as he turned and walked back to the dugout. I think these guys are just so grateful for the most part that they have an umpire as opposed to the way it was at the alternate training sites last summer where the coaches had to call the balls and strikes or sometimes the catchers would call them. Happy to have an umpire. It's not like anybody's really going to gripe. Certainly better than the alternative.
What was interesting over the weekend when the Mets alternate site squad was here for the 3-game series was that on plays down the first and third base lines, it was up to the base coaches to make the calls, which made things a little interesting.
That took homerism to a new level.
No kidding. Jaron Duran, last time lined to left, but he thought he doubled. He pled for about 30 seconds to a good minute while everybody else left the field. That ended the inning. He stung it hard, though. This one's hit back up the middle. Ranging to his left is Arauz. Spins, throws, and gets him.
Wow.
What a tremendous play by Jonathan Arauz, ranging up the middle. Once again, ever so smooth on that play.
I know he made a poor throw a couple of innings ago, but other than that, he's been steady Eddie, and now that was a splendid defensive play. Duran is making a quick exit. I don't think he's going to the Olympic qualifying tournament just yet.
He's headed over to the bullpen. Throwing a few haymakers at somebody. 2 down bases clear for Marcus Wilson.
Now we got the matchup of the Marcus W's.
Now Duran heads back towards the dugout. Just a quick check on his friends down in the bullpen. Marcus Walden misses low, slaps the leg, upset with that last pitch.
Last time he batted was the controversial ball that it was either just over or just off the Worcester wall. According to Joe McDonald of the Worcester Telegram, who's in the writing press area, Joe McDonald just sent a tweet that said there was a colorful argument among the players whether or not the ball was a home run or hit the top of the Worcester wall. Joe says it hit the wall, so he's very definitive.
Okay.
You and I thought that, although Pete here in the booth says that he thought it was over the wall. So we're getting differing opinions even from up in the press area.
Well, unfortunately, like you said, we do not have instant replay available today, but if we did, that would be one that we would watch over and over. That's in at the knees for strike 2. It was an interesting inning. That double off the wall ends up Being thrown out at second base, De La Guerra thought he had a homer. That hit off the center field wall. And Austin Rye blooped a single. That went in front of Cesar Puello in right, where he duked out everybody. That's ball 4. Marcus Wilson will reach with 2 down in the frame.
That's something that Walden does a lot of. Generally very good commands. Sinker just missed, though. Good take by Marcus Wilson against Marcus Walden. Say that 5 times fast.
Wilson wins this battle. Now Chad De La Guerra.
Trackman had that as a strike, by the way. Right at the bottom of the zone.
Walden has been all over the strike zone here in the 7th. That one just misses.
Trackman also had that as a strike.
I think we'll...
You know, if we had the robotic umpires, it'd be 0-2 instead of 2-0.
Would have been in a strike in the Atlantic League, where they had that automated strike zone. Wilson's off. Pitch outside. Throw down by Bandy. Not in time. Almost looked like a pitch out.
Well, guess what? It was called a strike. Trackman, by the way, had it as a ball. Trackman was with you, Jim. It's interesting that the technology tells you that all 3 pitches in this at-bat should have been called differently than our home plate umpire did. But there's proof for you how much of a difference that those robotic home plate umpires will make. That was the first pitch in this at-bat that the umpire and the technology agreed with.
Well, I bring up the Atlantic League because, again, today they announced 2 more rule changes, experimental playing changes for 2021. They've really been Major League Baseball's guinea pig when it comes to that sort of thing over the last few years, and it will continue again this year. As that one is just a bit outside, ball 4, so second walk issued by Walden. And the 2 new rules are that infielders must be on the infield dirt when a pitch is released at all times. The second is that each team, and this one's interesting, each team in the Atlantic League per game will have 3 timeouts. That, according to J.J. Cooper of Baseball America, had that scoop a little earlier today. 3 timeouts.
Now, what constitutes a timeout? Does a mound visit need to be a timeout? I've actually been a proponent of that for years. I've always thought in every other major team sport, if you want to stop the game, you have to use a timeout, and there are a limited amount of them. But in baseball, for whatever reason, every time you want to stop the game, you just put your hand up, and you get timeout granted to you. Couldn't ever quite figure out, and I know the answer is just, well, that's the way it's always been. But why in baseball, unlike the other sports, are you allowed to unlimited amount of times just stop the game?
So the tweet from J.J. Cooper of Baseball America had a snippet of a press release sent out by the Atlantic League. Does not specify on the timeouts. I'm going to have to do some more digging on that. That's a great point. Interesting.
Because we've limited mound visits now. You get 6 of them. The umpires keep track of that. It's anytime the catcher or somebody from the dugout comes out without making a pitching change.
Lopez drives one deep and far to left field. That ball is high off the wall. Wilson comes in to score. De La Guerra is held at third on a ringing double off the bat of Jack Lopez. That nearly got out of here. And that's going to roll the inning over.
Tell you what, he's hit some balls very hard at the alternate site. Newcomer to the Red Sox organization this year, veteran who provides middle infield depth. And I think sneaky power too, Jim.
It's the 3rd time he's reached base today. He walked his first time. He ripped that single to left his last time up, and now just comes a few feet away from hitting a home run.
Remember the first broadcast we did here of these sim games last Tuesday, week ago Tuesday. He hit one over the left field fence. A home run against Connor Siebold. Not an easy feat, but Lopez, I think, has looked like one of the better hitters that we've had at the alternate site. Another good one there, drove in a run.
He's really barreled a lot of baseballs up, and he's shown some power to that pull side. Guy who can play a lot of different positions. We've seen him in the outfield and in the infield as well. So there's Bobby Pointer. Come on and pitch the bottom half of the 7th inning. Again, we're set to go about 10 today. A lot of guys to throw after we went a couple days without simulated action here at the alternate site. Pointer scheduled to throw 2. We've already seen Steven Gonsalves, Kyle Hart, Mike Shawarren, and Marcus Malvin. Pointer, a guy who was not at the alternate site a year ago, but has spent time at the big league level. Spent a lot of time coming out of the bullpen for the AAA Pawtucket Red Sox back in 2019. In fact, even spent some time closing games for a brief period. Fastball and the changeup primarily. You can also see the slider from Pointer as well. I really would like to know what level they got that music turned up to over there in the production booth. I think they lowered the volume a bit this inning, but
it wasn't as loud as Kelly Clarkson asking since you've been gone.
Mike DeMars tells us in our headsets it's on level 11.
That would be out of 10, I believe. Losing some defenders here as we get later into the sim games. You take a look at the diamonds. The alignment right now has just 3 infielders, and 2 in the outfield remain Marcus Wilson and Jaron Duran. It tends to happen the longer these games go. They start to dissipate out there a little bit. Still a really nice setting here at beautiful Polar Park.
No question about it. Jed Bandy takes strike 1 from Pointer.
I tell you, those are very distinct shadows that the light standards create.
Kevin McCarthy has started to throw in the bullpen, so it appears he will come on next.
Fastball, slider, and a change for Bobby Pointer. Changeup's always been his out pitch. Bread and butter that's gotten him to the big leagues after being drafted out of Florida by the Red Sox. Kevin McCarthy, first year in the Red Sox system. He showed some good stuff against the Mets in that exhibition series when he got involved in it.
Yanked foul, look out. Not sure how Bandy got the hands inside that one. Fastball riding in on him.
That was a foul ball that makes you glad in games where there are going to be fans in the seats. You're glad you've got the extended netting. Foul nets at Polar Park, they cover all of the seating areas. Because you're so close to the action, Jim, that could get on you in a real hurry.
The nets also protect the pitchers in the bullpen. Bullpens down the first and third base lines. Bandy rips this one up the middle. That's a leadoff single. And a couple of good swings in that at bat, and it results in a ringing single.
I think he got the changeup. It was an 80-mile-an-hour pitch, and it was just left up. Bandy may have even been looking for that changeup. Put a really good swing on it.
You know, walk-up songs are really fascinating. It really goes to, it gives you a little insight as to what a guy's taste is like in music and shows you a little bit of his personality. It's pretty cool if you think about it.
Do we know for sure these guys have chosen their walk-up songs for these sim games? Because I was wondering about that.
That is a good point. I think the point still holds true.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was making a separate point. I didn't want to.
Right.
Didn't want to counter argue what you were saying.
All right, we don't know for sure whether or not Michael Geddes is selecting a hardcore rap song to come up to. Who knows? That's his thing. For some of us, it's In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins.
I know you had relayed that to us at SimCity last year, and I had forgotten what it was, but I knew it was an 80s song. Nice pitch. Fastball there from Pointer.
It's a strikeout at Geddes. Just got word. Joe Jacobs, the recent birthday boy, who is our director of Blue Sox Productions, texting in, he says half of the players have selected their walk-up songs and half have not. Geddes is What You Know by T.I. That's the song. So he selected his, as well as Michael Chavis and Josh Ockamy. So those are the three that he knows off the top of his head.
So then the folks who have not selected, they are just getting otherwise assigned by the folks in the production room. Now, I would find that interesting, too, for the assigning process. Is there real thought behind it? Jaron Duran has been getting Duran.
He's also saying that Jonathan Arauz has selected 2 different walk-up songs. Stand by, we've got more text coming. The bubbles with the 3 dots on the iPhone. Let's see what else Joe has to say. I don't believe Joe is here today, so he must be at home watching. Getting word that it's Poor T who is the artist on both of the songs. Jonathan Arauz has selected to walk it to the batter's box too.
You know what I think is going to be a popular artist for walk-up songs this year? It's going to be Bad Bunny. There'll be a lot of Bad Bunny walk-up songs. The majors and the minors. Ooh, good changeup.
Wow. Good pitch. And is working for Bobby Pointer. Wonder if some guys will go with Taylor Swift and Folklore. What a phenomenal album that is.
No.
I would not be ashamed if I was out there with that as my walk-up song as Arauz rips a single to left field.
I didn't know you were a T Swift person.
That as the kids say these days, Josh, that album is a banger. There is no question about it.
No, I'm with you. I A, didn't know that you felt that way, and B, would not agree with you that it would be a great walk-up choice. None of it.
Well, maybe to the fans, but I think some of the players might give you some weird looks. But all right, let's see. Jeter Downs has also selected his as he comes to bat. It's Meek Mill. Marcus Wilson made a custom mix, according to Joe Jacobs. A custom mix? That's interesting. Downs takes a strike from Pointer. Downs has had a good day. Pair of doubles, one to left center, and then one down the left field line. First of which scored a run. Lays off that changeup away. Well, now with the news that Jaron Duran could potentially be with the Team USA roster and qualifying for the Olympics, now you'd have to point to Jeter Downs as the guy who's probably the biggest name of the bunch when it comes to guys who could be with the Worcester Red Sox when the season starts. I think Duran obviously got a lot of attention, as we talked about with the Nesson broadcast taking a game break, showing his 2 home runs on Monday, but now all eyes will probably go on Downs.
Yeah, and I don't know whether or not that man Duran would be leaving right away. I would assume that would come closer to the end of May as opposed to the beginning of the minor league season. But you figure for at least the first 2 or 3 series that Duran and Downs, among others, will be at the AAA team for the Boston Red Sox. Let's face it, when you get traded as one of the principal return players in a deal for Mookie Betts, there are going to be eyeballs and pressure and expectations on you no matter what. That's what Jeter's had to deal with since he came to the Red Sox. Some guys can handle that better than others. I think Jeter seems to be kind of built well to handle those expectations. Jim, do you agree?
I would agree. I mean, you know, it's hard because we don't get to interact with them face to face with the COVID protocols and whatnot, but from, you know, the interactions we've had on Zoom and just from the way he carries himself out in the field, I would certainly agree. He foul tips that high fastball into the glove of Herman for a strike 3. Second punch out of the inning for Pointer, and that'll do it. We will roll it over, and we are through 7 full here at Polar Park. Take a quick break and come back with inning number 8 when we return. Top of the 8th here at Polar Park. Kevin McCarthy has come on, and wouldn't you know, we happen to have a replay of Marcus Wilson's double home run. We'll let you at home be the judge.
All right, this was back in that 5th inning, and or 6th inning off of Gonsalves. Boy, was that close.
Now the key, too, I think, you can tell by the shadow as well. That's something to keep an eye on. You can see it as it's landing.
All right, that makes me think it was over.
Oh, that is ever so close.
I think it was a home run. From that, you're not convinced?
I'm not entirely convinced. I think you could still make the argument that it hit off the very top of the wall. I think it's one of those where if this was a major league game, it wouldn't have been conclusive evidence to overturn it. The call on the field, whatever it would have been.
And by the way, it would have been a very lengthy review by the umpiring crew.
No question.
It would have taken their time. Great job by our crew here to get you that. We appreciate Mike DeMars and the entire staff back in the production room efforting that shot, and that was very interesting.
Well, I said a few innings ago, we unfortunately don't have the benefit of replay, but I bet Mike and company over there took that as a challenge because lo and behold, during the break, they said, hey, we've got a replay for you. They did a great job.
That was our first replay in Woo Sox broadcasting production history.
That's
right
correct.
there.
Very
history
impressive.
made.
That was great.
I say home run.
I could be swayed either way. I think I'm now overruled or outnumbered here in the broadcast booth. Austin Rye draws ball 4 from Kevin McCarthy. He won't even bother to take first base, and in fact, there is nobody out on the field right now.
Yeah, after 7 innings, we've lost all defenders. This is just becoming essentially live BP. A pitcher, a catcher, and a hitter, and a lot of wind. Kevin McCarthy comes in for his inning of work. We're going to see a lot of live BP, I feel, Jim, for the remainder of this contest.
Chris Herman takes ball 1 from McCarthy. 29-year-old right-hander comes over from the Kansas City organization. He had spent his entire career in the Royals system when he was drafted out of Marist College in 2013.
You wonder if, due to the cold, blustery conditions here, that some of the pitchers who otherwise may have been supposed to work today, they could push them back a day. The weather's supposed to be much nicer tomorrow. We still haven't seen John Schreiber, Matt Hall, or Seth Blair. But at the moment, nobody's throwing in the bullpen.
Herman slices it foul.
You know what? I don't even think Misters Schreiber, Hall, and Blair would mind if they didn't have to pitch at the moment. Let them wait till tomorrow if that ends up being the case. There wouldn't be too big of an argument from those gentlemen, I don't believe. You said it. No rules here. You can adjust on the fly.
This one's rolled over to Kevin Youkilis at first base. Let's use our imaginations here.
Nice play, Uke. That was routine, actually.
So soft grounder off the bat of Herman. And here comes Jarren Duran. So Duran takes the jacket off when he comes to bat, but puts it on when he's out in the outfield. But looks like he will not have to patrol the outfield for the rest of today. Looks like Billy McMillan and company have made the decision to basically, as you said, Josh, have a glorified session here with just the battery mate and the hitter.
One thing we know about Jarren Duran, though, he doesn't throw away at bats. He is such a competitor, and everything is important to him. He talked about how he lobbied to get a double on a ball hit where there was no left fielder earlier in this game.
Rips this one through the right side.
Yeah, I'll call that a hit. And Kevin McCarthy says, that's all I'm going to do. 3 batters and I'm done.
So McCarthy walks off with a smile to boot. Now there is some stirring down in the bullpen. And Bobby Pointer is going to come back out. Was scheduled to throw 2 innings, so this will be his second and final inning. Austin Rye making his way behind the dish. John Schreiber starting to throw down in the bullpen. So perhaps Schreiber will throw today.
Yeah. Sticking to the script, if you will. Train time. This will perk up Jim Kane's spirits.
Gotta love that train. You know, one thing we haven't seen so far is some sort of commuter rail or Amtrak train. Nothing but freight trains. I had thought that there was an Amtrak train that left Union Station. Maybe it's just happened early in the morning and we're not here for it. But it's been nothing but freight trains when we've been here.
I think you do get the commuter rail about once or twice a day, if I understand correctly. But they are busy tracks right here past the left field fence at Polar Park.
Wonder how far a ball would have to travel in order to hit one of those trains. Now the home run that Arauz pulled to left that went over the wall, that would have landed on what's going to be the berm eventually out in left field. That traveled 398 feet according to StatCast. So that would have to be a real poke in order to get the train.
Oh, yes. I think you're talking 500 plus feet to get it onto the train tracks from home plate here at Polar Park. Not quite certain that that's doable. But you know what? Stranger things have happened.
You're talking Ted Williams' red seat territory.
Yeah. It's always interesting. I feel like in these situations, long day, they've already been playing a sim game here for 2.5 hours in the cold. Bobby Pointer had one inning where he did have defenders. How do you then try to keep your concentration? How do you keep your motivation even? Yeah, it's easy to tell yourself, right, I'm still being watched, still being graded by the coaching staff, and everything I do matters, but I imagine that finding the adrenaline rush that you normally get from pitching just is harder to do at the moment. Probably the same for these hitters.
Cesar Pollo versus Crab Billy McMillan retrieving baseballs out in the field. They're going to have to go get another one. Out towards right center. That one's going to bounce off the wall. Good opposite field swing from Pollo.
It might have been a double. Had it been a game situation, had there been defenders out there. He has continued to swing the bat well. There goes Billy. Would that fall under the other duties as assigned clause in his contract?
I think so.
Manager for the AAA Worcester Red Sox, and for now 2 summers or springs in a row, in charge of the alternate training site team. It is natural that the coaching staff from AAA would work with the alternate site because so many of these players would be a part of the highest level of the minor leagues.
Talking to Billy last week on Zoom, he was asking us for a recommendation on good Chinese food takeout around here. Now, I unfortunately am not at liberty to speak of the Chinese food in this area. What say you?
I was with Billy. I haven't found one that I love yet, although I've been only up here for a few months now, so I'm learning. There were some recommendations from the rest of the media who were on the Zoom call with him. Billy has settled right in the Canal District for this spring and summer, working with Worcester.
Well, for you folks at home, as Akami gets into one, iron deep to right, that ball is gone. Josh Akami over the Worcester wall. And that's the second true home run of the day, and possibly the third.
And how about this, Jim? I got a TrackMan reading on that, 440 feet. When Akami gets him, he gets him. And he just got one there against his friend Bobby Pointer. What a bomb. Those would be fun home runs to watch when there are fans in those Worcester wall seats.
I think that ball cleared everything. I'll take another look.
Yeah, I would say he got a hold of that one. Watch this ball flying. That's the direction that the wind is helping it too. Over the seats. That's what 440 feet looks like here at Polar Park. I've just been sent a suggestion for the best Chinese food in the Worcester area.
Oh yeah? What do we got?
We're taking any suggestions you got, but Joe Jacobs puts in Nancy Chang. I need to try that. Thank you, Joe. I have to pass that along to Billy because I do know he likes a good General Tso's chicken. Or something of that ilk.
Bandy takes ball 4. So Puello had the double, Akemi had the home run, and now third consecutive batter reaches with an asterisk.
And I think too, Jim, it's worth just pointing out again how difficult this must be to try to replicate the feel of a game situation on the mound right now. How do you get your adrenaline pumping when there's no defenders? All you have is a catcher and a batter up there. Just doesn't feel like a game situation.
I should add, too, if you're at home tuning in on Facebook or on Twitter, leave us a comment with your suggestion as to what the best Chinese food takeout spot in the Worcester area would be. Or tweet at us at _Jim Kane at Josh Mauer Radio.
Do you think they're talking about what they're going to eat for Chinese food after the sim game is over?
I would be if
I'm going to Nancy Chang. What are you doing, Krabby?
That's a strike.
You know what we should be doing? We got to direct people towards our great new partners with the Worcester Red Sox, the restaurants in the area, like Wonder Bar Pizza.
BT Smokehouse. That's where I would go. That one fouled off the umpire. There are so many different types of cuisines in the area, and also that are a part of our lineup of locals. You're going to get a flair for all these different types of foods. Take another look. That one getting a piece of the umpire.
Boy, just what he needs to after calling balls and strikes for 2.5 hours in 40-degree temperatures.
Swing and a miss. Getty's down on strikes, and this will end this half inning. So Pointer tosses a pair. Now John Schreiber will come on. He is set to throw an inning here today. We'll take a quick break and come back. I'll tell you about John Schreiber when we return. John Schreiber taking over as we wind our way through simulated action here today at Polar Park. And to take you the rest of the way, here's Josh.
All right, Jim, it's essentially become live batting practice pitcher, catcher, hitter here for the final few innings of today's game. Schreiber, the former Detroit Tiger, ready to work to Marcus Wilson from that three-quarter delivery. 90-mile-an-hour strike to begin things. Schreiber has been impressive in this camp. Red Sox claimed him off of waivers in February from the Tigers, with whom he had spent his entire professional career. Back past the mound, I don't know if a second baseman would have gotten to it or not. Schreiber thought maybe he should have caught it, the way that he reacted. Pretty good contact again for Marcus Wilson, who's hit the ball very hard today. Another guy that may very well be calling Polar Park home when the minor league season begins. Marcus Wilson, and also that man, John Schreiber, you figure as well. He was at the alternate training site last summer, most of it, for the Tigers. '28 career relief appearances for Schreiber. Pitched his college ball at Northwestern, Ohio. Small school, 15th round pick by Detroit 5 years ago. Tips that one in for a strike. Four-seamer or two-seamer, that was his slider, and he'll also mix in a change. Josh Maurer and Jim Kane, happy to have you with us as we approach the end of the afternoon on this cold Thursday. Started back about 2 hours and 40 minutes ago, and a pitching matchup of left-handers Steven Gonsalves and Kyle Hart in this sim game. That was the meat of it. Hart struggled. In fact, he walked 7 batters. He did get through 4 up and downs. Good slider for a strike. De La Guerra batting. Second batter to face John Schreiber. Had a couple of nice home runs today. Jonathan Arauz pulled one out into left field, and we just saw Akami hit one over the Worcester wall. That would have been a ground out to second. 2 balls hit on the ground. One may have been a hit. That one certainly would have been an out.
I think De La Guerra just yelled, "That's a knock!" Sarcastically, of course. These guys have been loud, and it's hard to keep up the intensity. You've talked about it a couple of times since they've gone to essentially live batting practice, but it's good to see that the enthusiasm and intensity are still alive and well.
Now the third hitter of the inning for Schreiber is Jack Lopez. Speaking of guys who have hit it well today. Last time he was up, he just hit one off the left field fence. Second knock of the afternoon. Tomorrow we're back at it. We anticipate another 3 o'clock start time here from Sim City. All these sim games brought to you thanks to the Woo Sox production team. If for no other reason than just seeing what new has transpired over the 24 hours between games at Polar Park, you might just want to put us on, see what new sights you'll see at the ballpark. Jim Kane, Jay Burnham tomorrow. Our old friend Jay is back with us for the first time since 2019. Jim's going to break him into the Polar Park broadcast booth.
Yeah, it'll be great to see Jay again. It's been a while. Make the long trek out from the western, or the far western part of the state, I should say.
Lopez fouls one. Matt Hall is up in the bullpen. Left-hander getting ready to throw as one scheduled inning today as we continue with this live batting practice. 40 degrees. Winds gusting upwards of 30-plus miles an hour today. It's not been comfortable out there, which is making it all the more impressive, the attitude that the guys have had today. It really does appear that, for the most part, they've been having fun. Well, that's a good job by Schreiber. 3 ground balls that he has induced, and now he's going to get a 4th hitter. Here comes Austin Rye, plateward. We saw Jairo Munoz get back onto the field here at Sim City for the first time in a while. Didn't bat today, but he played second base for about, what, 4 or 5 innings. Some spectators there on the first base side, walking the concourse. Fastball to Rye for a strike. You can see why the Red Sox, Jim, wanted to pick up Schreiber. These are the kind of pitchers that Chaim Bloom loves. Kind of awkward delivery. Good command. He's not going to overpower you by any stretch of the imagination. Chaim comes from Tampa, as I'm sure you know, and those are the kind of pitchers that the Rays have found for years. Kind of diamonds in the rough that come help a big league team.
It's the phrase I was going to use, diamond in the rough. I mean, obviously, the Red Sox have more traditional guys. You think of Matt Barnes as someone who's a fastball curveball, but just take a look at the guys that he has brought in. Whether it's been a Schreiber or even Adam Ottavino, who has the quirky delivery and is basically a predominant slider guy, not a more traditional pitcher. But those are just a couple of the guys to name. There are plenty to follow.
Rye battling Schreiber, fourth batter he's faced, and that one goes to the backstop. Red Sox and Mariners coming up 7:10 tonight. That is now about an hour and a half away from getting going. Nick Pivetta gets the start. Another Chaim Bloom pickup for the Red Sox, who's really paid dividends thus far. There's the slider lifted foul side right field. Nope, fair side. That ended up being an easy out had there been an outfielder. It landed about 20 feet in fair territory in front of the warning track. Good job by Schreiber. We've seen him look effective every time he's been on the mound here at Polar Park for these sim games.
Hasn't been a big strikeout guy by any means of the imagination. He's not going to overpower you, but he does have good secondary stuff and a guy that'll keep you off balance. And we have seen that throughout the week plus or so that we've been doing these broadcasts here at the alternate training site. You see him heading off towards the bullpen. So it looks like we are going to get the full slate of pitches here. Again, we told you that there were going to be 9 guys on the docket to throw today. This will be the 8th at Hall. And the 9th and final guy, Seth Blair, haven't seen him, but you got to think that with the way things have transpired, they're probably going to throw him too.
Time for the left-hander Matt Hall to come on in. 6 foot, 200-pounder Matt Hall, second year in the Red Sox organization. A lengthy game due to the number of pitchers that needed work.
There is Seth Blair.
Matt Hall was up and down from the big league team to the alternate training site during the pandemic season a summer ago. Red Sox got him in a trade from the Tigers for catcher John Nunez. And then Hall last year became bullpen depth, got up to the big leagues, just didn't perform as well as he would have hoped. 4 outings, gave up 18 runs in 8 2/3 innings for Boston. So much of his summer did end up being with the alternate training site, which is where he starts another year. Former 6th round pick by the Tigers out of Missouri State back in 2015. Hall set to work his live batting practice. If form holds, he'll face 4 hitters or so. And then you'll see Mr. Blair, and then I think, Jim, we can say goodnight.
I believe so.
Having fun here today. Glad you could tune in. Maybe getting ready to watch that Red Sox and Mariners game. Pivetta, by the way, part of that deal from Philadelphia in which both Heath Hembry and Brandon Workman went back to the Phillies, and it has been a major success already, I think, without question. No matter what happens with the other piece, Connor Siebold. Siebold looks like he could be a big league starting pitcher for a long time, even if he never does. Just getting what they've gotten out of Pivetta thus far, considering what unfortunately seems to have happened to Workman and Hembry moving forward in their careers. Appears to be quite the theft that the Red Sox were able to pull off. Pivetta tonight against that Mariners team. I mentioned this earlier. Justin Dunn gets the start for Seattle, and it's a homecoming of sorts for Dunn, who pitched his college ball not too far from Fenway, up at Boston College. Been following the BC social media baseball accounts today. They're all very excited about Justin Dunn getting to pitch a game at Fenway Park for the first time. The BC program that's produced a couple of really good big league arms in recent years with Dunn, Michael King for the New York Yankees as well. Jeter Downs will get another at bat. He's on deck. Arauz starting it off against Hall, and it's ball 4, so he walks. Not the way Matt Hall was hoping to begin his live BP session here today. Boston College baseball, by the way, Jim, has a player named Sal Frelick, center fielder, who for a lot of this college season in 2021 has been batting almost 400 and is now being considered a almost surefire top 10 draft choice this summer coming up. I've had the opportunity to watch Frelick play quite a bit. He is something. He's got power, speed. He's a tremendous outfielder. And obviously, if you're going to hit 400 in the ACC, you can hit. Batting average is there, the hitting tool. So just to keep an eye on for a local guy who could be a serious star in the major leagues in the not-too-distant future.
Or a guy who could be a potential pick for the Red Sox, 4th overall, if he continues to excel at the way that he has been doing.
That's a great point. A lot of people assuming Red Sox will go pitching in that pick. Some good college arms available. The big fish out there, of late at least, making all the headlines, Jack Leiter, Al's son, and Vanderbilt. Jeter Downs lifts one into right field, and that would have been caught. Nice play in right by Dwight Evans. 1 on, 1 out against Hall.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with the draft. It seems like Leiter is a lock to go 1st overall, but there's a lot of talk last year as you see Seth Blair getting loose about Kumar Rocker, who is essentially the 1B to the 1A that Leiter is in that Vanderbilt rotation. Maybe he's the guy that is around perhaps at the number 4 spot, but who knows?
Cesar Puello gets another trip to the plate today. This is what? It's got to be at least 6. I know Jim tries to keep track of such things in these sim games, which I appreciate. I have long since given up attempting to do so. Fouls it off against Matt Hall. Fastball, curveball, slider, and a change for Hall.
This is his 6th trip to the plate.
See, look, I had it all the way, and you had to write it down and look it up. But that wind is still whipping around. You can hear it on the microphones on our cameras. Again, letting go of that bottom hand on the bat as he watches a pitch go by. Low in the dirt against Puello. Another hitter to face Hall will be Akemi, who just did a home run just a few minutes ago. 440 estimated feet. Towards first. Nice play over there by, give it to Mitch Moreland. Puts him out.
I like it. I would have went Kevin Millar, but to each their own. What a great pickup, by the way, Mitch Moreland was for the Oakland A's. Now they have 2 Gold Glove caliber first basemen on their roster. It's incredible.
We were talking about it earlier. In the midst of that 11-game winning streak Oakland is on, it doesn't matter who seems to be wearing that A's uniform. Every year they piece together a roster that's a contender. Ball 1 to Akemi, so after the walk, we've had a fly out and a ground out unofficially against Hall, and this is going to be the last batter that he faces. Nobody has moved into the on-deck circle. One more scheduled half inning after this, and that's Seth Blair's turn. A couple bounced in there by Hall.
I think what makes baseball as a sport so fascinating is that you look at that American League West division, and obviously the Astros are super talented and their success is well documented, but a team like the Angels has, without question, the best player in the game. They have yet to really sniff anything in the postseason. Then you have a team like the Oakland A's who, as you have said, no matter who's donning that uniform year in, year out, they still continue to win at such a high level regardless of who's playing. Now, obviously, Olsen and Chapman have been their cornerstones, but especially the guys on the mound and everyone else on the field, they just continue to win.
They started this year 0-6. Akami takes ball 4, as he is wont to do. And I was wrong. They are going to get another hitter, a 5th to come up against Matt Hall. Jet Bandy could not have let this day pass without facing Matt Hall, and so into the right-handed batter's box he comes. Oakland was 0-6. They have now gone to 12-7 with 11 consecutive wins currently. Losing the command here the last couple of hitters is Hall as he spiked that one in. That was a fastball. I don't know that I'm going to be right in this prediction, but I'll say it anyway. I think this is the year that Mike Trout and the Angels get back into the postseason. Obviously, Trout is playing on another worldly pace. He's on his own planet. But what Shohei Ohtani is now giving to that team, I think that maybe brings them to another level.
That's a fair point. He has been otherworldly this year. Some of the advanced metrics and the StatCast numbers as far as his exit velocity, his actual velocity on the mound, it's eye-popping.
Base running, too. Almost hit Bandy in the foot with that one, did Hall. Even another batter has moved out into the on-deck circle. Might get a 6th hitter in the inning. Michael Geddes has grabbed a bat. Good fastball that time.
I don't know if what the Mariners are currently doing is sustainable. They've gotten off to a good start. But if they continue that success, I think you're looking at that division as arguably the best in all of baseball, considering the A's, the Angels, the Astros, and then the Mariners too.
I'm with you, and everybody kind of assumed that it would be the National League East that would hold that mantle this season, considering all the great moves in the offseason that the Mets made to challenge the Braves, who are the perennial favorites of late in that division. Got him swinging. Nice pitch by Hall. A couple of breaking balls to put away Jet Bandy. Hall says, do I get another hitter? Nope, he does not. That will finish his live BP session. Gets a fist bump there from Austin Rye, his catcher. So one more half inning to go here. The late Thursday chilly afternoon. Seth Blair is going to come on in. We'll take a quick break. Jim and I will be back for our wrap-up inning here from Sim City. There's Seth Blair, the hard-throwing right-hander. A terrific story for this former Cardinals high draft choice, trying to finally make his way to the major leagues. Second year at the alternate training site for the Red Sox. Get to work to 3, 4, maybe 5 hitters, and that should be the end of our afternoon coverage here today from Polar Park. Along with my partner Jim Kane, Josh Maurer, thanks so much to our crew. They have had to endure quite a bit this afternoon. The longest sim game that I can recall. After Tuesday and Wednesday, no action here at this yard. We've filled it in with all the pitchers that need to get time. Chris Herman will be the first batter to come up there against Seth Blair. I feel like I say this a lot of the times that a new pitcher comes in at the alternate site here, Jim. He's got good stuff, and the question is, does he command it? When he does, he's very effective. When he does not, obviously that's problematic. Said that with the starter Gonsalves. Kyle Hart today did walk 7 batters in the innings that he was out there, but normally command not as much of an issue for Hart. Mike Shawaryn falls under that same umbrella as well. You got to harness it, you got to control it.
No question about it.
Good pitch falling down and away from the left-handed hitting catcher, Herman. For left-hander Blair, the arm is great. 92 to 96 on the fastball. Also the slider, the change, and he'll sink it as well. Bit of a two-seamer. And he'll come at you from that odd 3/4 arm slot. There's the slider for strike 3 and a beauty. A backwards K on Herman. Want to see some more Jarren Duran? We got it for you. Here comes Duran into the batter's box to face Seth Blair. If you're staying on regular rest, it would be a Raynel Espinal day tomorrow for the sim game. That should start again here at 3 o'clock. Espinal pitched Sunday. And I imagine they are on regular rest, considering Kyle Hart today pitched 5 days after his Saturday start against the Mets. So Jim, you and Jay Burnham will get some Raynel Espinal if that holds true. Espinal was terrific, a guy that was a minor league Rule 5 pickup from the Yankees. So many guys the Red Sox have plucked recently from the Yankees organization. Espinal's got a good arm. Saw the flags still whipping as Duran takes one just a little bit low. Trackman had it as a strike for whatever that's worth.
Espinal really piled up punch-outs the other day. Certainly has good stuff. And to your point, has the stuff, but can he harness it consistently?
In the air left field. They're watching it carry back. It goes. It landed off the warning track. So it didn't get out. Just hit off the track about 10 feet away from the pole. Duran talking about it as Marcus Wilson trades places with him in the batter's box.
Well, it's good to see the opposite field stroke from Jarren Duran. That one nearly got out of here. He lined one to left that was ruled out. If there was a left fielder out there.
I just continue to be impressed how he does hit with power to all 3 fields. If you're a regular watcher of these games, you listen to me ad nauseum continue to make that same point. But it's true. He's just as apt to hit a homer to left as he is to pull it out to right.
And that's extremely rare. Not just at the minor league level, but even at the big league level.
Mm-hmm. That's Bruce Crabb, coach here at the alternate site, gesturing towards Billy McMillan. Those two have been manning the outfield to get a different view for the past few innings during these live BP sessions that this sim game has evolved into.
Now, you know what they're doing, and they're being very smart about this. They're staying in the sun. As you can tell, they're not in left field where the shade comes into play. They are smack dab in the middle of the sun field here at Polar Park, which is right field.
Yep. That might be a 10-degree difference in temperature. Wilson takes that. That was the sinker from Seth Blair, a little bit low. Got a great arm, does Blair. You almost don't recognize those masked men. They're bundled up so much.
I almost didn't recognize Chad De La Guerra today. Had the ski mask that almost covered his entire face. Practically covered everything besides his eyes.
Well, we've just passed the 3-hour mark of the sim action here today, so that's a long afternoon's work. You don't have another opponent. Ball forward to Wilson. And now we'll get a fourth hitter to come up against Seth Blair. It's going to be the aforementioned fully ski masked Chad De La Guerra. Couple of home runs today for sure. Those were socked by Jonathan Arauz and Josh Akemi. Marcus Wilson may have hit a home run. It was either right over or just under the top of the Worcester wall. We took a look on a slow-mo replay. If you're just with us, we looked at it about 5 times, frame by frame, and we still couldn't tell. And this man, De La Guerra, followed and hit one about 400 feet to center that hit off the fence. It looked like a strike to me. Trackman had it right down the middle at the knees. But you know what? We'll forgive our home plate umpire because it's a long afternoon for him as well.
Yeah, he doesn't have the benefit of getting up and jumping around and bouncing around like these players do.
Good pitch. That was 93 miles an hour with movement. Be another hitter after this, Jack Lopez. And then dinner time for the folks on that field. Got him looking. 93 miles an hour. Nope, there won't be another hitter. Seth Blair says, I've had enough, and that's going to do it for our action here from Polar Park this afternoon. Jet Bandy giving some props to a half inning. Well done from his hurler. So those two they're quite pleased with what they just accomplished. All in all, I thought the attitude here today on a cold and windy afternoon, Jim, that really stood out to me. These guys really looked like they enjoyed being out on the field.
No question about it. And I think it's very encouraging that the elements didn't really interfere or come into play all that much, because you saw guys really barrel up some baseballs, had a couple of home runs, should have had more than 2, could have had more than 2. Balls hitting off very top of the walls, both in left, center, and right field, as we've talked a lot about. But very competitive day from the guys on the field, no question about it. Steven Gonsalves, Kyle Hart got us going, and unfortunately didn't fare so well in their first few innings. But I thought both settled in very nicely on a very cold day. And you know, we talk about how the position players have to try to stay warm, and how if you make contact on the wrong part of the bat, it may not feel so good in your hands. But these pitchers, too, trying to keep their fingers from going numb and trying to get grips on the different pitches. It's tough for them, too. So overall, I think a very good day for both the pitchers and the hitters. And it was good to be back playing some baseball after the weather kept us from playing for a couple days.
Yeah, I was impressed with the way that the pitchers were able to settle and find some command. After the first 3 innings, we had 10 combined walks in the sim game. Jim, good to be back with you. Good luck with Jay tomorrow. We'll see you again soon.
Absolutely, Josh.
Big heroes today, our crew, led by director Mike DeMars, all the folks bringing you the camera shots and the audio here from Polar Park. We thank them on a tough afternoon. For Jim Kane, Josh Maurer signing off. Thanks for watching. This has been a production of Woo Sox Productions, the Red Sox alternate training site. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We anticipate right at about 3 o'clock.